So, man, you watching that Tyson fight?
Man, you know what? I just decided I'm gonna order it. So as soon as I get home, I'm finna grab me something to eat because I'm from Alabama. So I gotta watch this game. But I just decided that I'm gonna go ahead and order that. Watch these two old men get it on.
Okay.
Watch two uncles, you know.
Yeah, Roy looked like he wasn't ready, man. Roy looked like he ain't ready, man.
I seen the way and I'm just like, oh Lord, it's like, come on, bro. Like, really? How we looking right now?
Yeah, he better sticky move, man. He better sticky move.
Because we know Roy don't got no chin. Like we figured that out. Tarver figured that out for everybody. Roy got no chin.
Yeah. Mike might expose him, man. All right, man. I ain't gonna hold you up too much.
I don't hear myself through my headphones. Yes, man. Like, I feel real good about this right now. Pay attention, because you are now listening to Permission to Speak Freely.
Hey.
What's going on, man?
Another week of Permission to Speak Freely. I'm Damo.
And I'm Damon.
Hey, hopefully everybody enjoyed their Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, man. I really enjoyed Thanksgiving, man. Of course, you was over. So, you know, and like always, man, we always have a good time. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, I had a good time. Some fireside chats, stuff like that. Brought the wife over.
Oh, yeah, most definitely, man. Always having a good time, man. But yeah, man, I got a lot of stuff to be thankful for, man. So that was pretty cool, man.
What are you thankful for?
Man, I'm thankful for, man, family and friends, man. But the biggest thing I'm thankful for, man, is good health, man. Like, people out here, man, like, you know, with everything going on in the world right now, man. A lot of people either getting hurt, catching COVID, or dying in these streets, man. So you never know now, man. You really got to be thinking about what you want to do and how you want to do it now, man, because your days are numbered now, man. It seems like, man, you don't, it's not a one of those things now, man, that you know what's going on. So you got to get your stuff together, man, get your life in order.
Can I get like 5 reasons from you that you thankful that has to strictly do with the Navy?
5 things I'm thankful for? Man, you put me on the spot with that one.
Yeah.
5 things that I'm thankful for.
However many you got. It don't got to be 5.
Yeah.
If the Navy didn't give you 5 things to be thankful for, 22 years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they gave me a whole lot, man. For one, I'm kind of thankful that I now know how to navigate myself, man, in the Navy, man. Uh-huh. So I feel pretty good about that. I'm thankful for all the benefits I got from TA and things like that. Never, you know, got my degree, which is pretty cool. I'm also thankful for, you know, don't have to worry about, you know, things that some people may have to worry about from a money standpoint. I'm not like from, you know, paycheck to paycheck type stuff. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for being in San Diego, man. Like, I could have been anywhere. I could have been back in Hawaii. I could have been overseas. I could have been still on the ship. I think everything worked out for me, man, on how I got everything planned out. Now I'm more thankful I'm moving. I know I probably got another 6-7 years maybe left in the Navy. So now I'm already ahead of the game to start planning on my future. So I'm thankful that I got the capability and I got the know-how and people who didn't put me in the position to start thinking about, you know, my future instead of being bogged down and thinking about what I'm going to do next. Now I can think about the future a little bit. So, yeah, man. So the Navy been good to me, man. I'm always thankful for that.
Yeah. For me, I guess it's, again, being able to go on deployments and stuff like that and see the world. This is the only way at that age that I was, 18, 19, 20. This is the only way I would have been able to do that, you know, unless it was a music thing or something else. But what was working out for me at the time was the naval career. So being able to see the world, that was a big one for me.
Yeah.
Being able to meet new people and make friends from all over the world is another big, you know, one that came from the Navy.
Good and bad, right?
No, I mean, good. Mainly good. Mainly good friends, you know. It might have been some dumb stuff, you know, in the past with, you know, women and just being young, you know, in the career. But outside of that, just, man, having like really good, long-standing relationships. So that's number 2. Number 3 is just the Navy, it provided a way for me to be able to still like let out some of the talents that I had as a civilian. I've never been anywhere in the Navy and not able to do the things that I would normally do, so, we do some film stuff. We do a lot of film stuff, even on a ship.
Yeah.
And still being able to do that, still being able to be in practice of film. We started up the Lava Dog Expressions, the poetry group, on our last deployment.
Yeah.
So still being able to be in the space, a creative space where I'm doing poetry, or I got other people doing poetry. And that's been the same at every command. I had a poetry club at my first command.
Yeah.
I always did something that had to do with art. We designed the posters for the gym at this last command. We put that together. So being able to still and I want everybody to know that, like, don't let your talents diminish just because you're in the Navy. And at some point I want us to be able to showcase some of the people that does have, because there's some talented people that's still in practice. You know what I'm saying? So friends, places, still being able to be myself, be creative. Another big thing is just all of the opportunities that the military give you, all the benefits that come with being married. Like my wife got like health benefits, what I'm saying? And I mean, I'm sure she will have them with like her jobs as well, but she has them in through the Navy. The benefits that I have, it's like, man, going to the dentist is free. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't know the pain of, I don't know the pain of going to the dentist and I'm paying for it. Some people like,
it's a big deal.
Yeah, like some people got like rotten teeth, in their mouth because they don't want to, pay that money. You know what I'm saying? So those benefits, and then just the career, being able to move around. Like San Diego for 5 years has been, a great time for me. Now I'm ready to go back to the East Coast and be back around my family. Yeah. And just being able to have that choice. Like some people get locked into a job that you could retire from, and it's in like one place. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So the Navy, I know it's a lot of people that might have issues with certain places that they go or be stationed, but the perks is like you're not stationed there forever unless you're like an MU and you at the academy, you playing music at the academy forever.
Yeah.
So they the five things that I'm thankful for, strictly got to do with the Navy.
Yeah. Hey, so you guys may not know, man. Like most of you guys do know because you guys know Damo, but man, he's a very, very talented guy, man, when it comes to film, it comes to music, man. So I do know he do got some stuff out there. So if you hit him up, I'm sure he can, link you up to some of the stuff he already done, man. But he is a very talented guy when it comes to that film stuff and comes to that music stuff. So big shouts out to that stuff, man.
Yeah. Hey, so right behind me is a Christmas tree, huh, man?
Yeah, man. Kids, family, we was on that Christmas tree last night, man, putting it up. Thanksgiving over, man.
Yeah, so right after Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, man. And then, like when we was younger, man, like it wouldn't have been like this, man. Like we'll probably wait a little while, put the Christmas tree up and stuff.
Yeah.
But when you got kids and stuff, man, it's like one of the things they look forward to. So we right on it, man. Like they was all putting stuff on the tree. My wife took 90,000 pictures of it, everybody doing whatever last night. So that's one of the big things everybody look forward to doing, man. So, and then even this year we got 2 Christmas trees, man.
Yeah.
So
when did y'all do it at your house growing up?
Oh man, it was a little bit later. I can't remember exactly when, but it was between Thanksgiving and the Thanksgiving one of the, that's where I kind of like our little start at. We know it's coming soon when Thanksgiving over with, soon after that, but it wasn't like a day after Thanksgiving. We kind of like waited. It had dust on it in the closet, for a while. So we finally break it up with my mom or whoever had time. We finally broke it out, but it wasn't no like emergency thing. Like well, it's not an emergency thing now, but it wasn't one of those things that we thinking about right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
when I grew up in Mississippi.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, when I was back in Mississippi, it wasn't one of those things, but I do think it's a good thing though, man, because that's one of those times like now our kids are getting a little bit older. They got their own minds. They doing their own thing now, but we can all get together and do something together, which is one of those things that's pretty cool.
So like, what's your approach to putting a Christmas tree up?
Oh, I don't have too much of an approach to it, man. Like, I'm up on the top of the tree putting stuff on there and get those pictures taken. You know what I mean?
Are you leading the pack? Because
no, my wife lead the pack. My wife lead the pack.
Oh yeah, yeah, lead it. Because I know you like leading the pack.
I ain't leading the pack on the Christmas tree. My wife leading the pack on that Christmas tree.
It's hard to see you not leading the pack.
Oh, man.
So you kind of play the back, but it's strategic. You let your wife kind of take charge in this Christmas tree thing. It's true.
Yeah, man. I just when she need me to come through to hook something up, plug something in, or put the lights on the outside of the house, where I come into play at, man.
Oh, so you do the lights on the outside of the house?
Yeah, I haven't did them yet though. Put the tree up and stuff last night, but I know this weekend is probably coming.
You had to go hit it.
Yeah,
right?
I'm had to go get them.
I mean, the beauty of living in Cali is it's like warm outside where you put the lights out. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like near death temperatures.
Yeah. Like on the East Coast, I'm here in Philly. It's probably cold right now, man.
You might slip off the roof or something like that. Man.
Yeah, man, it ain't that bad out here, man. It's pretty good.
Man. Yeah, we used to put our tree up Christmas Eve, man. That was that was a tradition.
Christmas Eve?
Christmas Eve, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, man. My mom.
Is that, what is anything to that, or that just what it was?
That was the family thing. My mom, we had this small artificial tree, the small fake tree. We break it out the box every Christmas Eve, and we put the tree up on Christmas Eve.
Wow. So no gifts. I guess the whole time. From Thanksgiving till I guess Christmas, man, we was always like adding gifts under the tree.
My mom would hide the gifts. I think she hid them in the closet, and I remember like going in her room trying to check, looking for the gifts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Every now and then I would see them. I find them, and oh man, we got this or we got that.
But most of the time, the gifts that we do put on the tree is kind of like the little knick-knack gifts, like maybe clothes, maybe something like that. Now the big gifts that they think they're gonna get, that never comes out.
Yeah,
until nighttime. So Santa go bring them things. You know what I'm saying, on Christmas Eve.
You getting a PS5 this year for anybody?
Well, the truth about a PS5, I probably would have got it, but I didn't have to, man. Like Mark was working, man, and he pretty much just waiting right now. He's gonna buy his own PS5.
Oh man, the beauty,
man. He's gonna buy his own PS5, but I'm actually on my youngest wants the Xbox, man, the new whatever it is. He want that. I'm probably gonna buy that.
Okay.
But PS5, he just waiting, man. He got his money on standby. He just every time he tried to, like last night, it was like 9:00 Eastern. He was on there to try to get it, man. And time he clicked on it and got through, it said sold out.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't win, man. He's still trying though, but I may have to help out soon though. But so far, man, yeah.
Hey man, that's a good looking ball cap you got on, man.
Yeah, man. I got that merch on today, man. You know what I'm saying? Permission to speak freely. You guys see it, man. You guys know what's if you ain't got yours already, what's good, man? Get your merch, man. Get your hat, man. He even put a sale on that thing, man.
Oh, Black Friday sale?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we running out of hats though. We running real low, so people got to get them soon.
Yeah,
we'll be out of hats like very soon.
Get them while they hot, man.
Yeah, so that's ptsfmerch.bigcartel.com for all our merch. The hats just happened to be the first merch drop that we did, but we'll have more merch on ptsfmerch.com.
Yeah, most definitely.
So ptsfmerch.bigcartel.com, and then Damon, man, tell them where else they can find us at.
Yeah, man, you can find it everywhere, man. You can find it. You can go Facebook, right? You can look us up on there and find out how you can order it. You can look it up on iCloud. We got the videos on YouTube. We have, I already said SoundCloud, right? So
you said iCloud, but
SoundCloud. I mean
SoundCloud.
You know, so man, it's a lot of different places you can find that, man. Just
Instagram,
Twitter. But hey, you know what? While we talking about all this, where we got it, listed at, I just want to also throw out the fact that somebody from Mississippi stepped up, man.
Mississippi, stand up. Mississippi, stand up.
So yeah, man. So we got the new numbers in, man, and it finally showed that Mississippi. It was only one there though, just one. But hey, somebody from Mississippi stepped up, man. So it should be two now, because my auntie hit me up, man, and she told me, hey, she looked at it and she very proud of me and things like that. So I know she have took a look at it. So man, I guess I may have two.
Yeah.
Two ain't enough, Mississippi. Come on, man. Let's go. Let's get it, man.
Yeah, shout out to Mississippi, Philly, Virginia, Cali, Japan, Guam,
man.
all over. Listeners, it's amazing to me, man.
Yeah, man.
We get on here, we just kind of talk how we feel. You know, it's never really anything like practiced or anything like that. We just kind of talk how we feel, and it's good to have support in that realm and have people actually listen to us from all over the place.
Yeah, man. Keep showing us love, guys. Keep showing us love, man. Big shots out.
And that's a PTSF podcast everywhere. That's for the social media, PTSF podcast. Anywhere you look for us, that's exactly where you need to go. YouTube as well. Videos on YouTube, doing pretty good. And that's all we really want. Like, what do you want out of this podcast though? Is it about like numbers or viewership to you, or what's the biggest purpose for this thing from you?
No, it's not really about numbers. I want the numbers to be high, but I want them not to be high because I'll be getting something out of it. I want it to be high because I'm hoping I'm getting sailors and people of all walks of life getting something out of it though. Not necessarily for me. I feel like doing this job for a long time, I can actually give back. So I'm kind of more in the give back thing, and hopefully people now will reach out to me and ask me questions and ask me stuff, and I can help. I can put them in the right positions or help them out in any way I can. So that's kind of what I'm doing it for. I'm not really doing it for like any kind of like money or anything like that. I'm kind of doing it to help sailors out.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily sailors, like anybody else. I mean, you don't have to be in the military either though. If someone hears and they something that relates to whatever something they doing right now, and they want to reach out, man. You know, so that's kind of what I'm doing it for. How about you?
My goal is to raise more questions than I answer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I want us to like just be able to talk and like how we normally do. But then at the end of the day, I want us to raise more questions than we can answer. So I want people to be able to listen to the podcast or watch the podcast and be like, oh man, like I was thinking that shit too. You know what I'm saying? And then go out and let's seek answers. Let's get people that, you know, knows what they talking about to come respond to some of the questions that we raised. None of this stuff is like stuff that we're 100% sure of. Like some of the stuff we're going to talk about today, it's all like just questions that we want to raise and we want answers for. Yep. You know, so before you get upset about some of the stuff we talk about, just know we don't know the answers, and we looking for the subject matter experts to tell us the answers too. Because some of this stuff can be upsetting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We've had people listen and, you know, be upset. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's all. Any emotion is a good emotion. Any kind of way, any kind of rise we get out of you is good. You know, whether you're upset about something or whether not. But just remember, everything that we do is kind of like to raise a question, you know, and if you have an answer, then I'm all ears. Yeah,
most definitely. You know, this whole podcast thing also, man, like the reason why we doing it like this and how we do it, is we trying to get away from that PowerPoint stuff. You know what I mean? Training and power. So we more about conversations now. Like, I mean, I know when we was on the ship together, that's something we was talking about all the time. Instead of like putting a PowerPoint up here, let's just sit down and dialogue, and let's sit down and talk, let's sit down and have conversations, and you'll be surprised how much more you can get out.
Yeah, I learned a lot when we sat down with like a bunch of junior sellers and we just talked. What would we talk about? We just talk about like what motivates us or whatever.
Yep, motivation, man.
And when we did that, like I learned a lot. Yeah, I learned a whole lot.
Yeah, you'll be surprised too, man. When especially when sailors get comfortable, when you're looking at a PowerPoint, man, you kind of lose them on the first couple slides. You kind of lose them and they somewhere in la la land. But when you got their attention, you looking in their face and you talking to them, I think it's different, man. And they engaged. You know, when they engage in the conversation, engage in talking, man, it's pretty cool to sit back and listen at them go for a few minutes and talk about it.
Yeah, man. I think the hardest part about dealing with PowerPoints, and we talked about PowerPoints in another podcast, but I think the hardest part about dealing with PowerPoints is that the person that's presenting the PowerPoint don't ever look like they want to be there either. You know what I'm saying? So like the people that's listening don't want to be there. That the person that's presenting it don't want to be there. I mean, have you ever given a PowerPoint that you didn't want to give?
Yeah, most all the time. I actually, speaking of PowerPoints, I just had to do some training, right? So you guys already heard last week, we talked about the season, you know, kicked off. So we got certain training that has to happen during this season. It has to happen for the Chief Selects. So I had to do some training. I had to do, one of the trainings I had to do was like leading the division, right? So it was by PowerPoint, right? So of course, I'm not the PowerPoint. I don't, PowerPoint guy. So I got up there and we talked a little bit what was on the PowerPoint. Then we had conversation, about what was going on, and about leading the vision, how would they lead it and what they think about it, and how would they motivate sailors to come back the next day and put the same effort in and day out. So that's the type of stuff that we was talking about in the PowerPoint. Then we talked about tools they can use, when it comes to getting stuff done and for sailors to be able to reach out, to people to help them out if they need help or whatever the case may be. So it was good training, man. I learned a lot. But it was one of those things I know me and you had a conversation about before in the past that came up, and it was like right on cue during my training. And when one of the chief selects was talking about how they used to do when they was the LPO, on how the chief didn't have to tell them nothing. They this my division. They took ownership of the division, and we're gonna do it this way. We're gonna do it that way. So, and the question was, if they get a sailor that doesn't do that, you know what I mean? The first thing I came up and I said, everybody's not you.
Yeah.
They may learn differently. They might lead differently. It's a lot of stuff. You got to take accountability. So how are you going to train them? That was the question. Don't think everybody is you, and you can be very disappointed if you think people gonna do the same thing you did when you was in that position, because it's not the same. So
yeah, that's them expectations, man.
Yeah.
And as soon as you put expectations on somebody, that's you haven't even evaluated, that person. You kind of doom yourself.
Yep, from the beginning, man. So yeah.
I got a random question to ask you, man.
Random.
Yeah, really random. Do you think human trafficking is a problem in the Navy?
I'm going to say no, man. I don't. I tell you what. I'm not going to say that it's an issue or not an issue. I'm going to tell you I'm not educated on it.
All right, so let's say the Navy had a chance to take a stand against human trafficking. Right, we would agree that the Navy would take a stand against human trafficking, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about hitting a port, right? And I mean, right now COVID's weird, but back on them deployment days, hitting the port, and they got red light districts and places like that, and people go there. Yeah. Right. Military members.
Yeah. A lot of them. Everybody. Yeah. But you know what though? Speaking back, I'm gonna talk about back in the day stuff, right? Mm-hmm. When stuff like that was really happening, and right now it's not so much happening. I don't think now that it used to back.
You talk about hitting ports,
hitting ports,
okay,
hitting ports and stuff. So they had the red light districts and have all this stuff going on, prostitution, all type of stuff that's going on. But I think when it comes to human trafficking and all that stuff, I think a lot of times when militaries, sailors, or whoever going to these places, I don't think it's a mindset. I don't think they're even thinking about that side of it.
I know when I was young, I was ignorant to that. Anything we ever did or any place we ever went, hey, that red light district over there, I was ignorant to that maybe being human trafficking.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And I think it came with education back then too. People may have said something, but we was too young. We ain't nobody care about none of that stuff. They
probably banned. Would they ban the area?
Yeah.
You ever went to a banned area?
No.
Okay.
I never been to a banned area. I don't know, man. I just didn't do stuff like that. When they say it was banned, we looked at the list. That was one thing the guys I went out with and we hung out. Uh-huh. When that list came out, we was most definitely on top of it, looking at it, okay, you can't go here. And then if we made a mistake and in that area or whatever, somebody in our little group would be saying it, all right, man, we shouldn't be over here, man.
I always thought it could really go down in this area. Some people used to be they banned it. This is what people used to say, the Chiefs banned it so they could go, so they could go. You ever heard that?
Oh yeah, of course.
It's that people always get the Chiefs wrong, man.
Yeah, man, always.
As a Chief, I feel I gotta represent a little bit for us, man. We'll ban areas just so we could go.
We ain't got nothing to do with that.
I remember going to some places you go to a strip club. I mean, we used to see the mess in them at the club we was at. I always stayed away from the mess.
Me too. Same way. And they most definitely they stayed away from us too though. it's like if we come up in a spot, either they gonna leave or we leaving. It's like we never like hung out like that. It was never one of those things.
It's funny because I should have took that knowledge into being a chief. I remember my first port I hit as a chief in Hawaii. I stay away from the junior sailors. I like hung out with them. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I saw them. I wanted to interact and let them know like, hey, you know, I'm a real person here and all of that.
Yeah.
I made a mistake. I should have done that.
Yeah. Yeah, I stay away from them, man.
That shit came back to bite me in the ass, man. You know what I'm saying?
Especially if something go down. If something go down and you was there,
oh man, the
Chief was there.
The Chiefs was all the Chiefs was in there.
Yeah, they was who? Then they start asking who was in there? There, your name go.
Next day, I'm like, hey, you know what stories came out, man? Anybody? I might have passed out in the club. I think I passed out. You know, now I'm looking like an old timer.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, now I'm looking like an old timer in the club. I probably passed out right by the DJ, man.
Oh man.
So but look, man, that was an easy, quick lesson. That's something I will never do that again. And it don't got nothing to do with the junior sellers. It got more to do with like how I felt after. Like I feel like, man, like is my reputation tainted? You know what I'm saying? Like did I mess myself up? Because passing out, it's a normal thing. Like people do it, and it wasn't just because of the passing out. But I'm just talking about passing out.
A normal thing, like
people pass out.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's normal that people have too much to drink. Are they not ready for the drinks that they drink in a situation? They might drink their own drink and they pass out, right?
Yeah. But
you never passed out. Let me guess. You never passed out.
I have passed out.
All right, so you passed out, right?
Yeah,
okay.
but hold on.
All right.
Let me get there. I gotta clarify this though. I ain't did a whole lot of passing out in the club though.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I
mean, the club is
I didn't pass out, but I ain't passed out at the club.
Yeah, the club is a really bad place to pass out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get kicked out. You gotta get in the cab. You get in the cab. You get out the cab 10 miles before where you supposed to go.
Man.
Then you drunk, trying to figure out where you like what gateway in you at, whatever like that. And I'm definitely not speaking from personal experience. All right, so yeah. So as normal as passing out can be, you get to this point where like the next day you worried about what people saw or what people thought, right? Did I black out? Did I pass out? What happened? What'd you see? You know, and we all forget that like everybody, you know, passes out. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people do pass out. But I think like it's always embarrassing, man.
That's embarrassing. Most definitely embarrassing.
So have you ever passed out in the Navy, period?
Yeah, like, but I meant like at my house or something though, not like in no club, no random spots like that. No,
but never in front of somebody at your command.
I don't think so, man. Like unless they at my house too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
like a fight party or something.
What you mean a fight party?
Like where'd you like where was it at?
Oh yeah. You talking like a fight or something was going on?
Yeah. Super Bowl fight.
Super Bowl
party.
Fight. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of fight party you thought?
I don't know, man. Fight club or something. I had to like, what kind of fight party? No.
Oh man. Hey, speaking of fights, we got the fight tonight.
Yeah, man. Fight going down tonight, man. So I'm kind of excited about it, man. Like I don't know why I'm that excited about it, but I'm also excited to see Nate Robinson, man. You know Nate Robinson, the NBA player.
Yeah.
The short guy, man. So he's boxing tonight.
Oh, he on the undercard?
He on the undercard, man. Yeah.
Is this his first?
I want to say it's his first, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100%, but I haven't heard anything about him boxing before until I seen him on his undercard. So I don't know if it's his first fight or not, but I'm pretty excited about that, man. He always been like a crazy athlete, you know what I mean? To be small as he is, dunking at 5'9" or 5, whatever tall he is.
Yeah.
You know, in the dunk contest, winning the dunk contest and all that stuff at that height. So he's always been an athletic dude. So I'm kind of curious to see. Different than Mike Tyson and Roy thing, man, is like, man, Roy better his legs need to be in shape, man. Because ain't no way he finna stand in front of Mike. I seen Mike hit that boxing bag, that bag, man. He still hitting that thing with some force, man.
Yeah.
So I just hope Roy can stick and move. Because later in Mike's career though, he was getting tagged too. He was going down too. You know what I mean? So
Mike got 6 losses, right? 6.
Yeah. Mike was going down at the end, man. People putting hands on him when he was getting older. His head wasn't moving as fast, and he was getting tagged pretty good. man, we already know what happened with Roy and Tarver, man. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, he got exposed, man.
Yeah,
He got knocked
exposed.
out, right? He was like,
yeah, he got knocked out real bad.
That was
real bad knockout.
That was like like the beginning of memes, right? It wasn't it was like all over the place, right?
And the reason why it was all over the place because Tarver told him.
Yeah.
Tarver said when they got in the ring, Tarver told him, "Where you hiding at now? You ain't hiding." You know what I'm saying? He told him, like, you can't hide no more type stuff, man. So it was kind of bad, man, because he talked crap to him and then put them hands on him. You know what I mean?
He was like cold out, man.
Yeah, he was out. He was out, man. So it was a big deal, man. But man, Roy need to stick and move tonight, man. If he ever done his whole life, man.
Did you see a way in there? You saw Roy?
I didn't see the way in, man. But I heard you talking about it earlier, man.
I'm pretty sure Roy whooped my ass in the boxing ring. You know what I'm saying? But he looked bad, man.
Do he look out of shape?
He looked like he ate a lot for Thanksgiving, man. He ate.
Man, Roy, and you know Tyson look kind of ripped up, man.
Tyson look a little bit more like he ready to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Roy looked like he just
try to get that money.
Yeah, he know what it's about. Like
talk about expedition, man. Mike Tyson's ready to go there like crazy, man. Like Mike, it's an expedition, but Mike said two grown men get in the ring though. You know what I mean? We trying to fight though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
Mike already talked about like the place he go to get in that fight mode. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, and we know what that mode is, eating earlobes and shit. So you know it's so you know what type of level Mike get into, man.
Didn't Roy try to back out of this or something at some point? What?
I don't know. I didn't hear nothing about backing out, man. I don't know. He might have.
What's your prediction? Who comes out the winner?
I think Mike gonna win the fight, but it all the way he wins depend on how much shape that Roy in. If Roy can jab and move and a lot, he's good. But if he's standing there and think he gonna throw hands with Mike, man, it's gonna be a short fight.
Yeah. So all right. So we got Mike and Roy.
Yeah.
Right. They do the Swiss and Timberland. They do the versus thing where they get like some of the legacy acts together and they battle. And then Ice Cube got the big three. Do you think this Mike and Roy fight can do something like more for sports as far as getting some of those legacy athletes that from past get back together, especially, and it seemed like this stuff happening a lot now in this time that we quarantine and in the house. Do you think that this is an effective way and it might inspire some more of those legacy like athletes and stuff to get back, put the shorts back on, put the sneakers back on and stuff like that? Yeah,
man. I actually heard Mike talking about this, man. He the one said that. He brought up something real good about it, man. He said, think about this. Me and Roy doing this, but think about what the people want to see. Think about and he said this. Don't quote what he said. He said, think about Jerry Rice. Would you rather see if I was asking like the person that's in Jerry Rice's position right now, who would I want to see, that person, or would I want to go see Jerry Rice?
Yeah.
Right. People gonna want to go see Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
Right. Every time. So now you got him and Roy. So the people want to see that. So I think what he's doing right now, I don't think it's just gonna stop with them two. Mm-hmm. I think the way he was talking though, he gonna try to get more fights.
Yeah.
Either him or he gonna get other people who did it before to come out and fight in they older years. And I most definitely can see Mayweather doing it. I just can see that.
Like where it's not gonna go against his record.
Not gonna go against his record.
Yeah.
Like an expedition type deal, like he did with
exhibition.
Expedition,
right? Yeah. I think that Mayweather don't want that record.
Long as they don't go against his record. If it go against his record, he ain't doing it.
Yeah.
Unless he can, got a chance of actually winning.
Yeah.
And I heard he's like crazy when it comes to working out and stuff for fights and stuff. Mayweather.
Yeah. Training. Yeah.
So if he can get in that type of shape and get in that type of fight shape, I can see him getting back in there.
I think it might be good for the numbers too, because with COVID, you got people quarantining. So normally with fights, you get the big fight party and different people got like 20 to 30 some people in their house, 15.
Oh yeah.
Like now with COVID, it's probably going to be just more people doing a pay-per-view to watch it at home, man. Yeah, COVID has really had a big major. I mean, of course it should not be said. It should be unsaid at this point, but it has had a major effect on just the way we live, period.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
We ain't seen nothing like this in my whole life, man. I haven't seen anything like this.
And it's been going on for a while now, man.
And it actually like affected me, like my transfer and all that stuff. It affected me like real bad, man. Like, you know, we left in like January, man, when end of February, March time, it was full go.
Yeah.
With this COVID stuff, man. So it kind of affected me in transfer and stuff. But yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is like the gyms. You know, the gym on our ship is shut down, so we don't work out on the ship. And then the gyms out in town, I think they might be back shut down again, but they either shut down or they doing something, you know, where you got to set up an appointment or something set up outside.
Yeah.
But on top of that, we can't go to the gyms outside anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like I got some equipment in the house, but not everything. And like coming off of a Thanksgiving, you know, where we eating food, the food was good too, man, you know, but coming off of Thanksgiving and stuff like that, you got to go work out, you know, some kind of way, you know, with this, the knee injury, you know, so, you know, just me kind of just being transparent. Like I wish that I was able to get in the gym right now and work out and do some of the stuff that I can't do at home. I don't have like leg equipment or nothing like that.
So yeah, man, the crazy part about the gym thing is, when I think about it, is, man, like we can't go to the gym, we can't do anything, but the PFA finna kick back off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know how that's gonna work when actually the time frame comes, you know, because you still got everything secure. So you expect you gotta give in order to, you know, get a good product. And I don't think we'll have a good product if we don't have gyms available.
Yeah.
You know, you got to at least have things available for people to succeed. If we get a lot of failures, that's the first thing gonna come out. We didn't have gyms. We didn't have this. How you guys expect us to pass all this stuff? Because the failure rate, if it stays like this right now, the failure rate gonna be way up.
Yeah, because I mean, that's called like putting a cart, you know, before the horse or whatever.
Exactly.
And then we already talking about pushing for Command PT. Like if it's not COVID, we push for Command PT and stuff to make sure it's people working out.
Yep.
And then like, so what are we gonna be doing now to make sure it's people working out?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And we need to be like, as a military member, we need to be caring about our fitness, right? We need to be fit.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, and that's my personal approach to my career. You know what I'm saying? I need to, and now I've had issues where my weight fluctuated. You know, I've been 250, I've been 180, I've been 190, I've been 230. You know what I'm saying? So my weight has fluctuated throughout the years, and all that got to do with like different things. Like for instance, like we just went through a major inspection, you know, and I always seem to put on weight during a major inspection because I'm getting off late. I'm going straight to the fast food spot, probably
grabbing something real quick, going to sleep, knocking out, waking up in the morning, doing it all over again. You know what I'm saying? And even if I cut out lunch, that cycle is not good, man. And then your body get used to that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know about you, and like what you deal with when you going through inspections and stuff like that, but that's some of what I dealt with. You know what I'm saying?
And it's everybody. I mean, it's the same way. I mean, because we don't have that time, right? Because a lot of times for like dinner comes to on a ship, we don't eat dinner on the ship most of the time. If you ain't got duty, you don't eat dinner on the ship. You might eat breakfast and lunch, but you ain't eating dinner. So then you won't get off the late. So guess what? You know, you grab something quick and eat real quick, and you're
gonna feel like fulfillment. You know what I'm saying? And it's something I want to talk about too, man, before we really get into like our big stuff. Well, a question for you is, have you ever been through depression in your career?
No. And I won't say I haven't been through depression. When I tell you this, I don't know what depression looked like.
Yeah.
Right. And that's to be honest. If I ever had a depression or anything, it probably happened when I first came out of the Navy, on how when I came in, what I was dealing with before I came in the Navy. Once I got in the Navy, man, like, to me it was a blessing, man. I always looking forward to like pushing it. Things didn't happen for me before the Navy like this. So when I got in the Navy and I had my own money, I was doing my own thing. It was better for me. So I wasn't depressed. I was happy. I was, you know, doing stuff that I can actually do.
Yeah.
You know, and before the Navy, I couldn't do a whole lot of stuff. So I don't think I was depressed in the Navy.
Yeah.
No.
So I never really been like the person that was in touch with depression or what it means, kind of in the same vein. But when I got the shore duty after my first sea duty tour, when I got the shore duty and I was looking at my lifestyle and some of the things that I did on shore duty, like working out, eating clean, less drinking, trying to go out and do things like every day, I realized that it was a point of time in my sea duty, probably around like my 4th year on the ship, where when I looked back at it at that time, I realized that was a depression. I was going through a form of depression. You know what I'm saying? I never knew it while it was happening. You know what I'm saying? But you ever heard of Cisco?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the singer, right?
No. Oh. No. Cisco don't got nothing to do with my with my depression. Yo, if I was depressed, like listening to Cisco every day, dog. Like,
oh man, you talking about that little alcohol Cisco, man?
Yeah, the liquid crack, the real thick. Man. So, and then remember For Loco, right? The first, the first edit, the first before the update, before the iOS update, For Loco.
No, For Loco,
them joints was crazy. Butt, so what I used to do was I would mix Cisco and For Loco together, right? I mix Cisco and For Loco. And, you know, I'm a movie guy, right? So I'll put on a movie. And I'm talking about like a movie that like with like Clark Gable, like something from like the 40s, 50s, right? Like some old or like old Twilight Zone or whatever, right? So I'm in the house, I'm watching something from like 1944, man. I got Cisco, For Loco, you know, just mixed together. I'll drink it. I drink this shit till I pass out, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm normally, and it's on the couch in my apartment, man. And then my friends would come in. All of these friends I still have today, right? But it's times it'll be like a Friday night, you know what I'm saying? And maybe I got duty Saturday or Sunday or something. But they'd be like, hey, man, what's up, man? You trying to go out? You trying to hit the club? It's like E4, E5 money. It's not that much money. And I'm probably in some kind of debt. So I'm like, nah, you know, I'm not trying to hit the club, man. You know what I'm saying? So I probably just pass right back up. I would wake up, right? I would wake up to a cup of, and I'm thinking about this now. That's why I say it's fucking depression. But I would wake up to like the unfinished glass of Cisco and For Loco. Like now it's warm. And I would just drink that shit again until I passed out again.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I'm saying? And that was like, it was a lot of days of that. You know what I'm saying? It was like a really... And I didn't know it then. It was just my life. Like, that's what I was doing. I'm drinking Cisco and For Loco and watching movies. You know what I'm saying? This is me. This is who I am, you know? And people like, hey, come on, man. Come out, you know? And it probably happened for like 8 months or something like that.
Wow, man.
Yeah, it probably happened. And I don't mean like I was drinking Cisco and For Loco every day for like 8 months. You know, I probably wouldn't be here if that was happening. But like just this period of I think we were going through like NSERV or something like that. But I would have never correlated it to like NSERV or nothing like that. Yeah. But yeah, man, it happened. And in hindsight, I look back at it and I was like, damn, that like, when I look back at it, it's like, damn, that was depression. You know what I'm saying? Like I actually went through that. You would have never known, like anybody that know me would have never, you know,
thought of it like that
or knew that was happening at work. Or I even had like roommates and friends who they would have never put a finger on to that being a form of depression. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's crazy, man. Yeah. And sometimes it happens like that too, man, when pressure has been put on you too. Yeah. Like getting a little depression from like you say, NSERV or whatever coming up on the ship. You want to do good, you want to do great, you want to do, you know, good stuff, but you're thinking about it all the time. Yeah, man. You know, and you know how much that weighs on your chain of command, on everybody around that you do well. And then you like, oh, man, you over preparing. You probably staying late, you know, during the week, because the weekends is probably where you did most of that at. So during the weekdays, you working long hours because you want to make sure you get everything right. Yeah, man, you actually just hit something right on the nose, man. You know what my best like stretch of days was in the Navy since I've been in, man. Outside of, you know, meeting my wife and all that stuff, but my last 8 days on my first ship, like, and I got in trouble in these 8 days, right? I went to like a DRB. It was more of
a thing where they wanted to talk to me like as mentors, and man, Master Chief Langdon's like I love this mess for this, but they was like, hey man, like you've done good for the last 4.5, 5 years, man. Don't go to your next command with these behaviors. But it was like an 8-day run. Me and my boy Mikey, we just did everything we could do in these, like, it's just 8 days, man. Days. Like just crazy stuff. Like I had a Camaro. We got pulled over for like driving insanely too quick. We found these 2 women that like stayed like somewhere close by in like Virginia Beach or something. And we was like crashing at their apartment, just doing crazy stuff. And I remember I got into like a situation with the girl. We got into a little argument. So I got kicked out of her place, man. And I remember she swung on me, right? And I will never put my hands on a woman ever. So I don't want this story to ever get to that point. But so when she swung on me, I remember ducking the hit. And like she punched like another girl in the face, and it looked like it hurt. So I was like, man, like, I was like, I'm glad she ain't catch me with that. But right after that, we got in the car, right? And again, this wasn't my girl. So this like, at this time, she could have been anybody's girl. You know what I'm saying? So we get in the car, we leave. When we leave, we go to the barracks. And this when the barracks was new in Virginia. And it used to go down in the barracks. So we go to this party. I'm an E5. So like when you're an E5, when you are an E5, you look at yourself like, hey, I'm a leader. I'm mature. I'm just this, that. At this point, I'm only an E5 with like 4 to 5 years in. But I go to this party. It's like E1, E2s there. Real young. 18, 19. You know what I'm saying? Like really, really young. And it's like a episode of American Pie, man. Like every room you go in, there's something crazy going on. Man. You go in a room, it's 2 guys, 1 girl. I go in another room, you got like the moonshine cherries they taking. At this point, I'm already drunk, right? It could have been. I think that led to like probably what happened between me and the girl I'm talking about. But so I'm already like wasted, I just go to the room and I grab some of the moonshine cherries, and that's the last thing I remember. The next thing I remember was me talking to the cops.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The next thing I remember was me. Now, mind you, I'm saying this was the best 8 days of my career, but this was the worst part about it. And it's one of the biggest lessons I learned. But so I'm talking to the cops. Right. The next thing I remember, I'm waking up in my rack, and at this point we on a barge because the ship is in the yards. Right. So I'm waking up in my rack, and my boy, Mikey. Right. And I'm holding the rest of his name. I love Mikey to death, but I'm holding the rest of his name just out of respect. You know what I'm saying? So he calls me. He like, hey, where you at, man? I'm like, yo, I'm on a barge, man. I'm like, I just woke up, man. I don't know what the hell happened. He like, yo, come on. He's like, yo, come back. Come back out. I'm like, where you at? He's like, yo, I just woke up at the gas station with my foot on the gas pedal, man.
Oh my goodness, man.
And the girlie was what was in the passenger seat. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. But that was our 8 days. You know what I'm saying? Oh. So, and it's like day 5 into the 8. So I leave to go back out, right? I leave to go back out, and they stop me. They like, yo, you can't go out on liberty. I'm like, why? You know what I'm saying? And I found out I got turned over by the cops, right? It's like, yeah, it's just it was just a courtesy turnover. The cops just kind of gave you, and somebody was like, you should still be able to go out. The cops just brought you back to the ship. Same weekend, another sailor from my ship got killed by the cops on leave back home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, that was a bad 8 days right there.
So now the ship is trying to be protective. They like, all right, we just had a sailor get killed by the cops. I'm not going to let, and that was the story. I'm sure that's what happened, but that was the story that I know is he got killed by the cops the same weekend that I got brought back, turned over. So I had to stay on board and Mikey called him. He's like, I'm just coming. He still messed up from the night before too. He's like, I'm gonna just come get you. But, he wound up coming and everything, but I couldn't leave. And and that was hard because it's just you on a barge, nobody else is there. Mm-hmm. I'm like just embarrassed, man. You know what I'm saying? So I went to the DRB. Now, before I go to the DRB, I'm stressed out about it because I'm like, at this point, I'm the junior cell of the year. I got my own parking spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a parking spot, man. Like, I'm not supposed to be getting in trouble, but like I was like, not going to say like uptight the whole 5 years, but I was on eggshells the whole 5 years because I was successful. And we see that a lot with sellers who, you know, successful, they, you know, scared. So I go to the DRB and I'm like, what uniform? My chief is on leave because I think it's like during a palm period too. So my chief is on leave and I'm messed up about that. I like need my chief, man. I need this guy around. So I'm calling him. He must have already knew it wasn't that, you know, big a deal. And he's like, yeah, you're going to be all right. So I get out, you know, this day of DRB, I'm thinking I need my blues on or my whites, whatever time of the year it was. And they like, no, just put your N-dubs on. So then I go to DRB, Massachusetts. She come to me. Sheila Langton's too, man. Love her to death. She like, hey, this isn't an actual DRB, but we just want to, you know, talk to you, make sure you got your head on straight before you go, you know, before you go to your next command. So I went down there, they talked to me, they like, man, you done too well in these, you know, 5 years to start making these kind of fucking mistakes. So straighten up, McCullough, you know what I'm saying? And that hit me hard, man. You know, I went to that next command just ready to go, you know what I'm saying? Ready to lead. And as soon as I came, took a second class. So as soon as I came, took over works in a suit. But it was that moment, man. But those 8 days before that, crazy. Yeah, that was a crazy 8 days, man.
Yeah, man. The things like that though kind of define you sometimes too, though. You know what I mean? Who you are you gonna be like that, or you gonna be, you know, who you are now? So
yeah. And I needed it, man. It was like a purge, man. It was like, all right, I saw what it felt like to be successful, like here and do good and get high rankings and go to evals. I saw what that felt like. Yeah. What do these 8 days of bullshit feel like? You know what I'm saying? And standing outside of that DRB, like that shit was embarrassing, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then it's on a barge, so it's like you gotta go downstairs, like the Chiefs must. So you like upstairs and then just going down, and just even like the next day, the turnover and walking around and being like the name that like they kind of going over the radio, like, hey, EM2's right here. Like it just was like this is, you know, bad. You know what I'm saying? And I never want to go through that again, man.
Yeah, man. It's most definitely one of those times that will shape you, man. I actually had one of those times that kind of shaped me a little bit too, man. Like I freaking so when using my first part of my career, you couldn't go out to the clubs and stuff in San Diego at 18, 19, 20 years old, right? Yeah. Only places we can go is Mexico, Tijuana, TJ's. So every weekend we're going to TJ's, right? But of course I wanted to hit the clubs, you know, down here and stuff. So I had one of my friends, you know what I mean, on the ship, a little bit older than me. He hooked me up with this ID, man. Yeah. So I get this ID, and now, you know, I'm young. I'm about 19 years old, first ship. And probably for about 4 or 5 months, I'm hitting every club in San Diego. Yeah. Having a blast, right? Until this one time, man, I freaking go into this club, and it's kind of like you go in the club, you give them your ID, then you come around, they give your ID back to you, you go on in, you good to go, right? And of course at this time I was under 21, so if you guys don't know, I didn't drink. So I didn't drink till I was over 21 at all anyway, because I was so far into athletic stuff and doing things like that.
So what were you going to clubs to do, dance?
No, man, I was going to clubs to girls. Okay. You know, that was pretty much it. Like, fishing. Yeah. So I was going in the clubs and having a good time, you know, me and the other guy or whoever I was with at the time. But I go in, I get my ID. So when I come back through to get my ID, they didn't give me my ID. They had it. I saw it in the guy's hand. And he had it pulled back. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So he seen the actual date of the ID because it was actually on my real ID. Just put another layer on it that's a different date or whatever. So by then they told me to come in this little room or whatever. But they already had me in the club, doors closed behind me, so I couldn't like run out or do anything like that. I was already trapped in there.
They had the rights.
Yeah. So I go in there and probably about 5 minutes later, these cops come in, man, and started talking to me, man, like. And the cops went in on me, man. Like one of them went in. Like I don't know the cop's name, but I do know one was black and one was white. Mm-hmm. Right? Black cop come in, man. Black cop go in on me, man.
Yeah, he bad copped you, probably.
He bad copped me, man. Went in on me, telling me, you know, you need to take this shit back to Mississippi. You ain't gonna do this in my town and my city and all this stuff. So I went off on me, man. And then the cop that was in charge was a white cop. So he was in charge of the whole situation. He was just pretty much like, all right, man, I'm in charge of this situation, and we're just going to turn you over at the base.
Yeah.
Right. So he just turned me over to the base police. And then the base police one took me to my ship. And then like kind of like you, I was like the top performer, E3, like top performer there, doing a lot of good things for the command when I was there. So when they brought me back and they handcuff you, right? So I'm handcuffed all the way up to the quarterdeck. They unhandcuffed me on the quarterdeck, right, of the ship. And the crazy part about this whole thing was the Master Chief was on board. And you guys don't know, normally Master Chiefs don't stand duty. But when you on a frigate, you don't have that many people. This Master Chief was actually standing duty. And he was my departmental LCPO. So when I come across the quarterdeck, he's on the quarterdeck. And the first thing came out of his mouth, they finally got you. Now, I don't know where that came from or why he said that, but he said that. He said they finally got you.
Yeah.
Right. And just those words from him, because he's a very respected guy, man.
Would you think was he tracking you? Did he know what was up?
Yeah. I don't know, man. He freaking finally got me, man. So I don't really know what happened to the whole time I was going, because at the same time I supposed to went to on leave. Command really didn't want me to go on leave because they didn't think I was gonna come back and all this stuff. So my chief finally, talked to him and say he's gonna come back, blah blah. So I ended up coming back. So when I came back, the ship was waiting on the paperwork to come from the MAs.
Yeah.
Right. So for the shore duty, so they got the paperwork back. I come back, and so I'm thinking I'm already my mindset going to DRB. See what happens after that, right? Because I know it was a big thing, because you can get, like they was talking about it anyway, like it's gonna be destruction of government property because of the ID and all that type of stuff. So I had all this stuff.
Get you real scared.
Yeah, so I had all this stuff
destruction of government property.
Yeah, I know. So I had all this stuff going through my head. So, oh man, they got me, man. So when I get back, my chief had the paperwork from the MAs in his hand.
Yeah,
and he like tore it up right in front of me, and pretty much said, "You owe me." And that was it, end of it. So I don't know what happened between that. I don't know if they got the story from the cops out there. Only thing they know was a turnover. So I don't know what happened. I don't know the whole backstory on what paperwork he actually had, because I didn't even see it. I just know he tore it up, put it in the trash. And man, that kind of like was an eye opener, because I'm thinking like, man, I've messed around and get my ass kicked out the Navy. I ain't got nowhere to go.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was an eye opening moment for me. Yeah, man, it was a big deal. So sometimes you had it in your Navy career to kind of turn you around a little bit. And that's a story I don't talk about that much. I know probably got family members and people will be listening like, what? What the hell? But yeah, that was like an eye opener for me, man. Because that's out of the norm for me. Doing things like that. But
and it's nothing wrong with having that shift. There's nothing wrong with having something that you did messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like the Navy, it's a 20-year career. A lot of us come in you came in at like 18, right?
18, yeah.
So a lot of us come in at 18, 19, 20, at younger ages, and we make mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Don't experience a lot in the beginning, you know what I mean? So
we grow up in the military. We live 20 years out, 20 or more years out in the military. Like 20 years of perfection is not a lot of people had that. You know what I'm saying? So we should be able to, make some mistakes, and you should be able to learn from those mistakes. Yeah. I was just reading somewhere about the option of court-martial. The option of court-martial, like it being on a ship or not, like if it should be on a ship or not. I don't want to get too deep into it, but it was saying like, the option, because on shore duty, if you get an NJP, then you could say, hey, let's do this let's do a courts martial or whatever. On the ship, I haven't read it and I'm gonna dig into it, but if anybody did read it, they could clarify it for us. On a ship, I was told that it got more to do with the operations. I always thought like you just can't request a court martial at all if you're on a ship. I don't know, do you know anything? Can you speak to that at all?
No, I can't speak to it at all.
Yeah, so we gotta go, but because the thing about an NJP is that it's totally up to the command, right? And in the article, it was saying there's times where the captain might already know what's going to happen to you before you even go up. And it was saying like it's not that many times that somebody go all the way up to the captain and the captain find information and be like, nah, this person is, you know, innocent. Normally, if you make it up to the captain, then your ass is, you know, grass or whatever. I guess if you make it out the chief's mess, you know, you get it a lot. I haven't seen that many things stop after a DRB or stop at a DRB. More so, I saw some things be like, hey, no, we're not even going to take this to DRB. But I haven't seen a lot of things stop after a DRB.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You could get past DRB. Yeah, you most of the time you're going all the way up.
Yeah.
But the captain do got that decision. I mean, I have seen where the captain throw it out at you know.
Yeah, at captain's
at captain Maz. But
so real quick, because I know we got to get into what we got to get into. But would you, do you think that somebody should be able to request a court martial on a ship if it's not like doing any kind of operations? If you parasite, if you in dry dock or something like that, should you be able to request a court martial?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I most definitely think so. And I actually, when I went to the Captain Maz, I was told by several people you should request court martial to go up. But me, I didn't do that. And the reason why I didn't request court martial or do anything is because what I was trying to accomplish at that time. Like at that time, I was Eval UI. Right. And I was like already had a board scheduled to become an EI.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go to court martial and point fingers at this commanding officer when he's the same guy that's going to be, you know, signing me my EI letter.
Yeah.
So I thought about that whole thing. 'Cause I know at the time being a DC man, the EI letter was a big deal as a first class. You know, because at that time, many DC men wasn't trying to get EIs and do anything like that. So I know it was a big deal. So I was like, you know what, let me leave it alone. I'm not going to try to push. And then at the end of the day, too, I think back at that whole thing when I went to Captain Maz I was the guy in charge.
Yeah. I
was the leading petty officer. So, yeah. So I didn't even mess with it. It was good.
Yeah. And then the pros and cons of court martial. It's pros and cons, right? Yeah. You know, the pros is that you need hard evidence beyond a shadow of a doubt, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The con is you could face, you know, jail time, you know, and then with DRB, the pros is that you going on restriction and, you know, you might lose rank or something, but it's no jail time. And then the biggest con is that it's like you don't need to have evidence or anything. Yeah. It's just your word against, you know, somebody else's word.
Yep.
You know, but what I really want to get into is the board, right? The selection board. Yeah, right. Man. So we just had for Chief specifically, but we just had the new Chief Selects get announced, and as you go through that, you also go through the people that didn't hear their name. Yeah, you know, and I was on Facebook, and it was a Master Chief. He was, you know, he kind of was talking about records review, and I was intrigued by the conversation. The first class started asking him some questions, and they were questions that I had before. And I was intrigued by that conversation, so I wanted to give him a call, the Master Chief, and you know, and kind of dive deeper into that. But did you get selected your first time?
No, because I had so when I got selected, it was actually, man, I want to say probably like the third or fourth time. Mm-hmm. But my issue, it was the 9, then I went for 10, 11, third time. Yeah. And the reason why I never had an issue with my selection is because I went to Mass.
Oh yeah, so you had to kind of rub it off.
So I didn't even put a package in or nothing. So when I went up, because I didn't think I was gonna make it because I went to Captain Mass, but I still made it, you know, a couple years after that. So it was pretty special because it was real like what? Yeah. I mean, so no, I didn't never have an issue at the time anyway, because I didn't think I was gonna make it.
Okay, I'm gonna give him a call, man.
Yeah, man. Let's call him. Let's talk to him.
Talk to him about this. Hey, what's up, Alquin? It's Damo from Permission to Speak Freely podcast. I'm happy that what's up, man? I'm happy that I actually got a chance to call you. I got Damon with me. Hey, what up, Damon?
Hey, what's good, man? How you doing, man?
What's good? What's good? What's going on, man? How you fellas doing today?
We doing good, man. How was your Thanksgiving?
was good, man. No complaints, family, food, fun. So, couldn't ask for nothing more, man. A lot to be thankful for.
Yeah, so good, man. Same thing. I actually spent my we had a PTSF Thanksgiving because I spent my Thanksgiving with my man Damon over here. So
most definitely, man. We had a good time, man. A lot of stuff to be thankful for, also, man. So it was all good, man. Nothing but love over here.
Hey, so I was just telling them about what made me reach out to you in the first place, and it was the conversation I saw on Facebook where you was talking about you were going through the packages. And you saw some things that you could give advice on to some sellers. So I wanted to, talk about that for a little bit with you.
That's fine, man. That's one of my favorite subjects, man. One of my favorite subjects. Anybody who knows me, served with me, I'm real big on advancement, getting people to the next level, not being stagnant, and just trying to, get the most out of this thing, man.
Now, can you, before we do get into it, can you talk about, because I know you just came from this last selection board, but can you kind of talk about that stuff for the listeners?
Okay. I can be as broad as you need me to be. I don't know how much time we got working with. I can start from beginning to end. Just let me know how much you need me or how much you want me to get into it.
Oh no, we got, was FY21, was that your first selection board you set?
Yes, that was my first selection board. As a matter of fact, I just made Master Chief this cycle. Back in December is when the applications come out to sit selection boards. You're not just randomly chosen. You actually have to put in an application to be a board member as well as a recorder. It was something I always wanted to do ever since I was a senior chief. I put in applications to sit the board because as a senior chief, you could sit the E7 board, but you have to be a master chief to sit obviously the E8 and the master chief board. So I was fortunate enough to be notified that I was selected to sit the board this year. So it was kind of like one of my bucket list things. So I was extremely excited, not really knowing what I was getting into. A lot of my mentors have set boards before previously, and they was able to disclose with me what they could, but to actually get up there and do it yourself. And again, like I said in the Facebook post, a lot has changed in the last 3 years, starting with FY17 group. A lot has changed. So for me, it's just a matter of, returning from the board and giving back and able to explain the process and letting people know that the process is absolutely fair. So to kind of, like I said, dive into that portion of it, again, you have to put in an application. Applications should be coming back out next month. Hopefully, if the schedule returns back to like it was previous years, pre-COVID. So I would definitely put in another application. You can't sit the same board back to back. That was a question that I asked while I was up there. So I will not be able to sit the 7 board again next year, but I will be able to sit the E8 or the E9 board. So I will be putting in applications for those boards. Now, once you get up there, again, I'm not selected or chosen to select chiefs from any particular rate. Right? Mm-hmm. I would like to say that it's sort of like the makeup of the ship. You got your different departments, and within those departments, you got different rates that deal with those departments. Okay, the selection board is pretty much set up the same way. For myself, as you can see from the panel names, is certain rates that select certain rates. For my situation, I work in aviation, so they keep me predominantly to aviation. I'm an AB, and as an aviation bosun mates, we're comprised of 3 different rates. ABH, which is aviation bosun mate handler, ABF, aviation bosun mate fuel, ABE, aviation bosun mate equipment. Once you make E9, you're just known as an AB, aviation bosun mate master chief. Mm-hmm. From the board perspective, I select all 3 of those chiefs. And, typically we deal with AOs, AZs, and just, majority of the aviation rates, I should say. But due to COVID, it became more restricted because you can't have so many people in one room, in one space. So, again, this selection board, it was restricted to just the AOs and, again, the ABs. All three rates of the ABs is what I, had the fortune of selecting. So, and we go one particular rate at a time. We don't do all rates, one particular rate at a time. The SME, briefs that panel on exactly what it is that rate is looking for in a chief. And typically that brief is the ladder.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. It's the ladder, the ECP, in conjunction with the convening orders.
Okay.
Convening orders. As sailors, as first classes, even as chiefs, senior chiefs, going up a master chief and senior chief, you got to understand it too, because they coincide with each other. Some of the questions, is, hey, I fleet temp this guy, and we got the same quals, and we got this, and we got that. That's good, fleet temp stalking people, but fleet temps don't tell you what that person evals was.
Yeah.
Fleet temps don't tell you, hey, this was the AO of the year, or this was my sailor of the year, or this was my, department guy of the year, and things of that nature. Fleet temps don't necessarily tell you certain certifications this guy have and things like that. So you got to be careful when you fleet temp stalking people as well, right?
Yeah.
But again, I touch on that later. But again, I use the example of the AOs, for example. Okay. Again, it was 16 people in my panel, and as you can see from what they released, the number of candidates, about 400 candidates. So with that being said, those 400 records are evenly distributed amongst the panel members. And it's our job to sit there 12 hours a day, Monday through Friday. We kind of work from, we don't kind of, we do. We work from 07 to 1900, Monday through Friday. On Saturdays, 07 to around 1500. They give us a little early day on Saturdays, and we're off on Sundays. But it is a full-time job because it's a lot of candidates, a lot of records. So those records are evenly dispersed, depending on the number of candidates, to the panel number. And it's our job to go through every single record. And, no one is going through trying to find a way to disqualify someone. I know when I was coming up through the ranks as an E6, that was kind of the myth that was given to us, like, hey, make sure your record is squared away, because they're looking for reasons to disqualify because they got to get through so many records.
Yeah. Like they just go throw you out.
Right. Hey, this isn't this guy's record. Get him out of here,
Yeah.
So I can move on to the next. But that wasn't the vibe. That wasn't the feeling in the board that I set. You literally just trying to, do what you can to help push the sailor to the next level. Obviously some records are much better than others, and it's our job to determine, which record is, the best of the best. We do not put records against themselves. So, Petty Officer 1 versus Petty Officer 2 versus Petty Officer 3. No, that record is, put against the convening order as well as the ECP or the ladder, whichever you call it, right? And you literally, this is what I was briefed. This is what the convening order states. This is how I grade the record. And like I said, the convening order speaks more so to the best of the fully qualified, the best, competitively amongst your peers. How do you stand out competitively amongst your peers? The ladder or the ECP speaks more so to being fully qualified. Each rate have their own ladder, and that ladder tells you what you need. It clearly says recommendations, for E6 to E7, E7 to E8, E8 to E9.
Yeah.
It's telling you those are the things that you need to be fully qualified, to be considered, to have a shot, a chance at selection. And again, the convening order speaks to being the best.
Yeah, and now, I'm gonna interrupt for a second. The convening order, that's on NPC, and then the ladder is in Navy Cool.
Correct.
All right, yeah, that's all I wanted to get that out.
Yeah, and when it comes to these evals, you have to write those evals to the convening orders. And again, it tells you, it talks about impact, it talks about education, it talks about collateral duties and all those things. When you're sitting down writing your eval, the best thing for you to do is take out that convening order, put your thoughts together, what all you plan on putting in your eval, and side by side along with your ladder, because hey, we need your ladder says, pretty much every ladder says first class producer association, seller 360 involvement, and things of that nature. So those things need to be on your ladder. It talks about command collaterals. Okay, we really need to see command impact. Okay, that's fine. You said you're doing this command collateral on block 29, but what impact is it having? You have to speak to it. Things like FCPOA involvement is not considered a command collateral. That's two different things. In your ladder, there's two different things. Seller 360 is not necessarily a command collateral. Like, that's a program. You got to know the difference between programs and being involved in programs and then collateral duties. It's two different things. And then you got watches, i.e., enlisted section leader. Are you doing that? Are you in a locker leader for, duty section, or, training teams and stuff like that? Everything that ladder breaks down is its own separate thing, so to speak. I look at some evals and it's just like, well, I got a command collateral. Okay, what is it? Because I don't see it in your eval.
Yeah.
I was the president of the FCPOA. Look at your ladder. It speaks about it in a separate entity of its own. So, but people interpret it how they want to interpret it. But again, we have to see that, when it comes time for grading these packages. So again, each package is graded individually, and each package is briefed individually. So there is no, my package wasn't viewed, my package this. No, if you're eligible, your package will be reviewed and it will be scored. Period.
If that's
out of 14, right?
Hey, real quick, is that regardless of you sending a package in or not, right?
Yeah, because so we getting into some of the So let me start hitting these questions, because we getting into some of them anyway. So and after looking at the post, I thought of some questions and I asked a couple. I reached out to some junior sellers, so we came up with a few questions. The first question is, if I'm an E5 or a brand new E6, what are some of the things that I could be working on to ensure that when it's time to submit my letter to the board, that I'm ready to go?
Okay, some of the things you could be working on is immediately getting involved with, the associations. If you're a brand new E5, hey, get involved with Second Class Pedals Association. If you're a first class, get involved with the First Class Pedals Association. Find yourself a collateral. A lot of first classes think certain collaterals is beneath them or below them. Hey, Be that guy. Be that one that's just like, hey, I might not have primary, but I would definitely take assistant. Because when that first class transfer and leave, guess what? 9 out of 10, you're going to move up and you're going to become the primary. So, start from there. I'm going to say this, and it's expect the P, expect the P, but work like you want a MP. Don't work like, well, I'm going to just get a P regardless. Hey, put in 110%. Do not take a break.
Yeah.
Do not take your foot off the pedal, because what's going to happen is, hey, when it comes time for that eval, you ain't going to have nothing to put on it.
Yeah.
Because you ain't do nothing. Because you're walking around like, well, I'm going to get a P anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's
like you going to get an EP.
What's the weight of that P when you sitting in that room?
What's the weight? of that P?
Yeah, what's the weight of the P? Like, have you looked at some packages with P's on them, and these people still make chief?
This is the convening order, right? Convening order speaks to sustained superior performance. A lot of chiefs out here right now, for one, been chiefs for a couple of years. So the manner in which they made chief is not the same as it currently stands, right? So you'll hear a lot of chiefs saying, yeah, I made chief off of P and this, that, and the third. For one, everyone tends to think that last eval that they got in September is the eval that just warranted their selection. I signed my eval in November. I made chief in July, August. It was that last eval. No, it's based off of your body of work, all your evals, right? So we have to show, or you, the seller, have to show sustained superior performance. Okay, you cannot show sustained superior performance off of one eval.
Yeah.
So it used to be, hey, it's just your last 5 evals. It's just your last 5. Look at your last 5. Okay, well, if I could take 5 evals and show sustained superior performance, okay, I can do that. If I need more than that, I need more than that. But at the end of the day, your whole entire record is at my disposal.
Okay.
Nice.
And then in case some people don't know, right, because I know we know, we got a senior chief over here, but what does the board look at when they review your record?
Okay, that's a very, very good question, because there's a lot of myths out there. At the end of the day, your BOL, right? Your BOL, field codes 30 to 38, as well as what you send to the board to be included in your letter to the board, as well as your PSR page 1 and page 3. That's all that we have.
Okay. So, question, if everything is in my record, do I really need to submit? This is one of these questions a lot of people ask and they wonder about. If I got everything in my record, all my quals and everything like that, do I really need to submit a letter to the board? Does it look funny if I don't?
Nope, it don't look funny at all. It don't look no kind of way. It's not frowned upon. It's, however, it's, at the end of the day, it's your record. Now, one thing I would encourage people to do is that if your rate is qual heavy, and you can tell by your ECP, like me, I work in aviation, I'm an AVH. My ladder clearly speaks to certain qualifications I need to have, PQS wise, right? Some rates is cert heavy, certifications, which is not PQSs. But if your rate is heavy into PQSs and qualifications, I would at least go into BOL, and if you have a most current page 4, you're good. But if not, at minimum, I would at least send in my most current page 4. But again, that's completely up to that individual. But just FYI, BOL, your OMPF, is only updated when you transfer, when you re-enlist.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. That's when they merge your record and send everything off to be put in on your OMPF.
All right. So here's a question. I'm gonna tell you what inspired it. So the question is, how does the board look at duplicate submission? So I remember going through yeah, I know it's in my record, but I want them to see it. Are they gonna look at me like I'm an asshole if I add it in the package? It's already in my record. How does the board look at that though? Is it like hey, if it's in your record, it's in your record. Don't add it to your package or nothing like that.
I'm gonna tell it to you like this, because even amongst board members, you ask 5 board members, you probably gonna get 5 different answers. It's not, no one is going to, look at you crazy for sending it. I'd rather make sure and feel comfortable knowing it's there, versus not knowing.
Okay. And then what's your take on that summary, the summary letter? I think I saw you speaking on that.
Yeah. I kind of got a little feedback from that, right? And like I said in the post, that's coming from a place when I was selected for chief years ago. I sent in a summary letter. So for me, it was just like, hey, you can't tell me nothing. At the end of the day, whatever that person sent in once they were selected, That's their Bible. That's their holy grail. That's what got me selected. And it's different for every person, right? So I said all that to say, as a chief, I sent in a letter to the board. I sent in a summary letter. And so for me, summary letters was it. Like, yes, sir, you got to send them in, man. It makes it easier for them. When I made senior chief, the first time I was up, because it took me 3 chances to make senior chief. The first time I sent in a letter to the a summary letter. The last 2 times it didn't. So now I'm sitting back like, I guess it don't matter. When I made master chief, definitely didn't send one in. And I got selected. Now as a board member, again, my take on it is, at the end of the day, it's not verified by anybody. It's not stamped. It's not proven anything that's certified. So everything that you put in that letter, career summary letter, I have to find it anyway.
Yeah,
you know, that's just your opinion. You know, like I said, hey, what typically goes on a summary letter? Positions of importance. Okay, well, on your PSR, when I look at your evals on there, it's going to tell me what positions you was evaluated on. Okay, you can tell me that you was an LPO or you want to, but if you're an eval, if you're not being evaluated as an LPO, it's a difference. And after November, if you got put in an LPO position, which sometimes happen, okay, well, just send me your letter of designation. Send me a letter of designation, and that's fine. That lets me know that, hey, no shit, okay, you're a LPO. Copy that. Roger that. What people typically put on there, hey, this is all the places I've been stationed at. It's a page in your BOL, in your OMPF, that's going to tell me that same thing. Yeah. Right? And on your evals, your PSR, it's going to be a section for that. Every eval comes with where you were stationed at. I don't need you to tell me that. You know, your awards, again, on your PSR, they got a spot in the lower left corner that says NAMs, comms. If that is incorrect, then just send them. Just go ahead and just send me your NAMs and your comms that's not missing, or whatever. Like, we good on that. Collateral duties. Okay, when it comes to collateral duties, they either going to be in your eval and it spoke about, on block 43, or you're going to have your letter of designation for them. Anything else is just, okay, it's just you telling me, but I need proof. Yeah. Right? And it's a host of things people decide to put on there, your PPME, your SEJPME.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, that's what, that's my next question, actually. But before,
you definitely need to send those certs in, and they definitely matter.
They matter. Okay. What about the MOVSM?
That matters too. Because I'm gonna take the AOs for example. If you look at the ECP or the ladder on the AO, that's a specific call out. It clearly states MOVSM for senior chief and master chief, as well as chiefs. It says MOVSM. So yeah.
All right. And then something you said earlier just kind of raised a question in my head. So if I'm a first class LPO and, like, let's say my chief go down or I don't have a chief for a while, so I'm working in place of my chief for like 4 months, 3 months. Like, I'm not gonna put LCPO on an eval because my chief is back and I had a chief at some point in time, so it's still gonna be LPO. So most likely what we've seen is like somebody was acting as LCPO or something in the eval. How much weight does that hold?
Well, if you're going up to chief and someone, felt the need to let me know that you were acting in the capacity of a chief, I would think that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And that would be probably the best way to do it. Just put it on the write up.
If it's something that you've done and it's not in your eval, and hey, chief, senior chief, master chief, I'm going up for chief. I was the LCPO. I was the acting LCPO for this period of time. I would like that captured in my eval. Mm-hmm. Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
Okay. And then Seller 360, is that being taken seriously now at the selection board?
Most definitely. And the world that the Navy that we're in right now, right? It's about building the sailor. You know, you at this stage in the game, you already supposed to be a resident expert. You know, you already supposed to be a rating expert. You know, technical expert is the word I'm looking for. Technical expert. Okay, as a chief, no one is walking around calling you ETC, ABHC. They calling you chief.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the day, that's what they're calling you, chief. It ain't no rank, ain't no rate attached to that. It's just chief, senior chief, master chief. Right. So we need to know that you're starting out now trying to be a better, well-rounded sailor. And that's what people have a hard time understanding when it comes to the selection process. Hey, I got more quals than this person. I wasn't selected. Okay, are you the better sailor? Right? Okay, so you may have had more quals than this person, but as for the ECP, this person meets the minimum amount of qualifications. Oh, by the way, he had better eval than you. You know, he was a breakout sailor. You wasn't. You know, you was full of peas. You know, but you got your qualifications though. Good on you. You know, I'm looking for the best, well-rounded sailor. You know, I'm looking for everything as per the ECP. I'm looking for everything as per the convening order.
Okay. Hey, you pretty much answered a lot of my questions when you were talking about the board and the process. So my plan is this year also is to put in to go either be a recorder or a board member. Do you know any of the things they look for when you the process of them selecting you to go up there?
What do they look for? I don't know, but I know on the application it asks certain questions. You know, on the application it asks them, you get asked specifically, you know, what is it you would like to do? Would you like to be a recorder? Would you like to actually sit the board? Which pay grade would you like to sit? They ask, have you had experience, instructor experience, and things like that. Like I said, the application can be found on the NPC website. If you go to General Board and list the Active Duty General Board section of the NPC, it gives you all the information that you need to submit your application to sit the board. It has to go up to your Fleet Force Master Chief, and they send that application off.
Hey, sounds good. Hey, thanks, man. One of my the last questions I got for you is the percentages, right? So I know it has probably to do with a lot about the manning, but when they come up with those numbers, like we're gonna do 5 out of freaking 500 or something, those numbers pretty much come from the manning.
Okay, so when it comes to the quotas, right? The quotas are driven from Navy manning.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when we're going and we're looking at records, we have absolutely no clue what the quota is, period. So I didn't even really get to explain that portion of it. Again, back to the example I gave, the 400 AOs, right? Again, those records are evenly distributed. The recorder will let us know, hey, every 30, 60, 50 records, we're going to tank those records, right? And if you go to the NPC website, again, at the general board page, it's a very, very informative PowerPoint that's right there. Once you click on that link, that PowerPoint is going to ask for a password. No password is needed. Everything that I'm stating is inside of that PowerPoint. Everything is discussed in that PowerPoint. All the questions you ask is kind of answered in that PowerPoint, right? Okay. But again, those 400 records is broken down by, sets of 30 to 60, and we're taken into a room, and which is known as a tank, and each record is briefed to everyone, and everyone meaning the panel, my panel. And each one of us gets to score that record, and that record is given a average score based off of all individual scores. And at that time, that sailor's name is no longer identified, and he just becomes a score. He or she just becomes a score, period. And once all 400 records is scored, it is put in a scattergram. That scattergram is set up chronologically off of the scores of every record. So out of 400 records, if there, 500s. Okay, five. If it's 398s, three, and it's just all the way down from record number 1 to record number 400, and then at that time, that's when the board is informed of the quota. And again, the quota is driven off of Navy manning, period.
Okay,
Yeah.
so basically what I think I'm hearing is that after you look at a package, after y'all finish, y'all don't necessarily know who gonna lead that board or whatever as a chief. It go to the scattergram, and then that's where the quotas come in, and that's when we know. Y'all pretty much say, hey, this amount of people should be chiefs, and then the rest of the magic happens with the scattergram and stuff. Am I hearing that right, or am I off?
You kind of off a little bit. Right?
Okay.
So again, we grade all 400 records.
Mm-hmm.
All 400 records is put in chronological order based off of the score of the record.
Yeah.
The names is removed, right? And we're sitting there, and they let us know, hey, the quota is 63. That's the quota.
Yeah.
Okay. Once we find that out, then as you can look on the PowerPoint, a motion is put on the floor that says, hey, everyone with a confidence score of, say, 75, everyone with a confidence score of 75, we want to select them as chiefs. The exact verbiage is actually in the PowerPoint. And then we go with a low, and that's the first half. Those sailors is whoever they are, so we don't know the names.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever amount of sailors is from scored 100 to 75, they're going to be chief petty officers, right? And then we find the lower half of that number. Let's just say, okay, I put a motion to no longer to take from consideration everyone with a confidence score of, let's just say, 60 and below from further consideration. So of those 400, whoever scored a 60 and below is no longer considered for chief petty officer. And now everyone in the area of 75 to 60, based off of how many more quotas is left from 75 to 100 to get me to 60, we have a discussion about those records, and it goes through the process over and over again.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So I got more questions from listeners. A couple more like lightweight, kind of just informative questions. Then you already know we got some heavier stuff to kind of get into. So the first one, a lightweight joint is what were a few things. I don't even know how I would answer this, so I feel for you. What were a few things that you saw in sellers' packages that impressed you?
Again, I mean, obviously, the seller of the years, departmental seller of the years, things like that. Sellers just pretty much meeting, all wickets of the ECP. You can just tell from going through that seller's record, like, hey, this seller is taking the opportunities afforded to him very seriously. That this seller is taking his career very seriously. And hey, those are the things that kind of impress me the most.
Okay. And then the next question that this listener asked is, if you could have created the official guidance for the entire board, what are some things you would have done different in regards to the challenges that COVID put on FY21 selections?
Me, myself, personally, I think that the people down in Millington in charge of the selection process, did a very, very good job of mitigating things during this time frame. Like I said, some of the things that they did was broke the panels down to much smaller groups, so that everyone is not crowded. They kept it, they're very, very aware of the fact that, hey, no more than 25 people, at one time in one particular place, things like that or whatever. So, again, looking at the the rules and regulations as far as COVID goes that's in place as far as Big Navy. With the selection process, they did an outstanding job of making sure we stayed in the confines of the rules and regulations that's put out there. So, frankly, I wouldn't have changed anything. We were still able to select sailors this year. It wasn't a year where it's like, hey, we're not advancing nobody. They did a great job with what they had to make sure that, the advancement process didn't stop, didn't miss a beat.
Okay. And then this some of the more heavy, we probably going to talk about it more stuff, the last couple questions, but it might take us a longer time to get through because we're going to kind of talk through it. But I know how I felt when I took the test made board and didn't get selected and had to take that damn test again. So I know how I felt. And this is the question I got from a listener. It's a longer question. So it's if we are to believe the Navy treats it, and I'm quoting them, if we are to believe the Navy treats advancement exams as a barometer for rate LOK as a determination of competency for those who hit their final multiples in advance, then why do we continue to test chief eligible who consistently pass the exam and are able to hit the multiple to make board but do not get selected for chief? It seems counterintuitive and redundant to test 17-year E6s whom would have made chief 4 or 5 times over had the standard of testing been truly based on competency for advancement, similar to the way E4 through E6 is. Then he says, my suggestion is E6 who consecutively and consistently made board should be grandfathered into board eligibility without the requirement of testing for board eligibility due to consistently demonstrating competent understanding of the rating community, particularly information that a chief petty officer is required to know prior to even being considered for board eligibility. Final multiples are sliding scales based on rate manning quotas. What happens when a fully competent sailor who continuously passes the exam in a 75 percentile or higher and had made board 3 consecutive times previously, but due to high multiple changes misses out of board eligibility? I feel as though the Navy does a disservice to the organization by potentially losing great SMEs and technicians this way. I'm gonna be honest, I see where he's coming from in that question, and I agree with him. I do think at some point, damn, why I gotta take this test? Why I gotta take this test again? But what's your take on that?
Okay, that particular person said a lot in that. Said a great deal. Okay, so for one, ironically, I was an instructor as well, right? I was an instructor in NASA in Pensacola, 2010, 2013. Okay, so what you got to understand when you're reading and looking at your profile sheet, what is what, right? So at the end of the day, you have a percentile based strictly off of the test, and then you have a final multiple to determine if you made board or not, right? And when it comes to the first class going up for chief, that January exam, only 2 things is taken into consideration. 1 being your eval, and 2, what you made on the test, period, your test score, period. And we all know what the highest you can make on that exam is like a 90, like an 80, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And in the center of that profile sheet, it says, okay, you scored in the 90 percentile, 80 percentile, whatever percentile, but that's just what you did on that test, right? And to say that, hey, you know what, you're grandfathered in to selection board eligibility, that's not completely fair because, again, your rate changes. Some rates has come a long way. Some things is obsolete. Granted, these tests isn't necessarily updated with new information every year, but again, the Navy holds a not necessarily a board, but they convene to go over rating exams about every year or so, right? Those things come out, I think, around the February time frame, and those test questions is vetted, right? Do they still exist in the rate? Are they obsolete? Is that method still being used? And with that being said, those exams, what it does is put everybody on the same playing field as far as level of knowledge, because you and I both know that one command may do something completely different from USS next command, or this shore duty is doing things completely different from this shore duty. So when you sit down and you take that exam, it's about how the Navy says certain jobs should be done, period, across the board, regardless. So with that being said, that's going to give me a fair assumption of where everyone is. It's going to put everyone on the same playing field in regards to level of knowledge.
So basically, to interject, so basically what you're saying is, in that year, if everybody took the same test, that's the metric of their level of knowledge, because you took the same test as the next man. Like, for instance, the next man that it's his first time up, you took that same test, and that's how we are assessing your level of knowledge. That's what you're saying right there, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's my takeaway from it. That's how I see it. The same thing if you're trying to go up a third class, if you're going up a second class, if you're going up a first class. It's just a basic, level of knowledge. Everyone who advanced on this cycle, you know what I'm saying, they're somewhere in the same category, should be, in regards to level of knowledge. Those tests, for the most part, to my understanding of those tests, you're going to have pretty much the same questions, arranged in different places, not necessarily in the same chronological order, but the questions is the questions, and again, if I'm on the Stennis, we may do business this way. If I'm on the Lincoln, we may do business that way. But when I sit down and I, answer all those questions, I'm faced with the same questions. If I'm on the Stennis, that guy on the Lincoln, he gonna be answering the same questions that I'm answering, and vice versa. And those results, based off of the percentile, we gonna see what each other's saying at.
Man, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. What you got on that one, Dan?
I mean, my whole take was the grandfathered in thing. Like, I feel like if you grandfathered in, the people who's going to be taking this test is going to be the newbies, right? You're going to have the people who are actually going to be taking this test, if you grandfather all these other sailors in, is probably going to be most of the time be the new sailors, the new first classes.
Yeah. And
then you're going to have so many people that's eligible for chief. It's going to be crazy on the numbers. You're going to be looking at 1,000, 2,000 freaking sailors that's eligible out of what, 5%.
So when we look at it that way, then now you're speaking on everyone is grandfathered in. So now what happens to the percentages for that rate? How encouraging is the percentages?
Yeah, exactly. That's what he's saying.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's going to be crazy then.
Yeah, so I mean, y'all on the same page with that. I mean, me personally, like I said, I still disagree a little bit. Like, I feel like, all right, just 2 years, like maybe let me take the test again the year after this. You know what I'm saying? Just because, on a personal level, I don't want to take that damn test. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, I got to take this test again. I just made bored, man. Because, when you taking a test when you going up for chief or whatever, you got two like really tense on edge times. The first time is if you made board or whatever, you going through, damn, did I make board? And then you made board. So the second time is like, damn, did I make chief? So I know it's a lot of first classes out here that like they would only want to have to deal with just one of those phases. But I'm gonna get into his next point, which is another point that I agree with or whatever like that. So I'm interested to hear. I'm gonna sum it up first, but then I'm gonna read it in respect to the seller. But to sum up his point, he was asking about feedback from the board, right? And again, all I can ever pull from is my experience. And my experience is like I took the test, I made board, and I didn't get selected, and I wanted to know why. Like, all right, why didn't I get selected? What do I need to do to be selected? What did this person? Some of these people I knew, you know what I'm saying? It's, again, I'm talking from personal experience. Some of these people I knew, and I knew what they were doing, and I'm like, how the fuck? I got 1 year that I didn't. Now this is completely selfish, but 1 year that I didn't get selected, the first class in my rate that did get selected, I was his LPO, but I'm not now. What I say is selfish at, because when I was thinking this as a young E6 up for chief. I'm like, man, like the dude, I was his LPO, but he got selected, but this motherfucker, he had a history before he came to my command. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was new to my command. That was probably the only reason I was his LPO. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm gonna read his question, then we'll get into it. It's interesting to me. I always wondered that myself. So his question is, it has been said by many chiefs and past board panelists through CDBs and general conversation that if an E6 follows the precepts and writes his or her eval to the precept standard, as well as follow all benchmark wickets of the prescribed rating ladder, then they put themselves in the best position to make chief. However, what consistently comes back each year after selection is a guy who has met all of those standards, yet they do not get selected, while others are the same rating eligible during the same cycle, either barely meets those standards, yet they still get selected. Then he gave us an example, right? His example. EN has EAL, EDO, LPO at sea and shore, served both East and West Coast, and an OCONUS forward deployed tour overseas. IA tour, served on pre-com, served on 75% of the diesel platforms in the Navy, served outside of rate billet tours, multiple EPs, excellent write-ups, SOQ nominations, and selections, as well as Seller of the Year nominations showing sustained superior performance. Each year consistently gets overlooked. Each year, meanwhile, an E6 whose career barely even covers a quarter of these things gets selected in 3 cycle trials or less without an ESWAS pin. My question is, how can a ladder and precepts, he said a word that I don't understand. Oh, maybe it's supposed to be continuously. How can a ladder and precepts continuously be brought up as a guiding standard when the board is constantly selecting sellers who obviously don't even follow these standards and don't provide any feedback to those whom are declined as to why or what it was about their package that was looked at unfavorably? When the question or feedback comes up, sellers are constantly told that it would take too long to comb through each seller's record and leave detailed commentary on why they didn't get selected, considering the volume of packages being reviewed. Understandably, volume is a significant consideration, but E6 has the longest preparation for advancement than any other pay grade. E4 to E6 are tested twice a year. E7 is a once a year deal. Evals are usually signed before the January exam. Eligibility results are usually out by March. The board usually packages usually due by May 30th. The board usually convenes by mid-July. Quotas are out by August. If the process is given a full year, then why is there no time in between at least May and July to convene?
Okay, that was a whole lot. There, right?
Yeah.
A whole lot. Okay, so hopefully I kind of tackle all that, and some of those is not necessarily a question for me to answer because again I'm just one person. But when it comes to feedback, okay, that membership list is published every year after every board, right? That membership is published. You can go and ask that Master Chief, as it states in the actual PowerPoint, we're not able to discuss with that seller what was discussed in the tank. That's in the PowerPoint. But, again, with anything, CDB and anything, it's just like, hey, this is what I think you need to be working on. This is what I think that you're missing that you need to do. For me, myself personally, even prior to me going to a board, even as a chief or a senior chief, I always sought out, information from those who set the board. Like I said, a lot of my mentors were board members, previous board members. And I've sat through many board briefings. I've seen many of the different PowerPoints, on the board makeup. Even on the BOL back in the day, it used to be a training that board members had to do before they went to the board. That I've done that, almost every year. So again, information is out there in regards to, how it's done. And as a first class petty officer growing up for, chief, part of your due diligence, it should be to ensure that you following in line with that, to the point where you should know going in to the process, what your probability should be, because anyone who asks me to look at their package, one of the first kind of questions I ask them is, what do you think your package look like? Because for me, that's going to let me know how much they know about the process, period. And what I don't like when I get is, I don't know. And it's just like, okay, so you're just working to be working at the end of the day. And who does that? At some point, you're either working to get paid or you working to move up. But I don't care if it's a civilian job or not. No one just working just to be working, because I like just working. Okay? Now, as far as feedback, all the time that's put into the selection process for E7, it's a lot of background work that goes into that. You said earlier that you wanted to be a recorder. You speak to those recorders. Those recorders, they list it too, right? So at the end of the day, you sit down and you ask a previous recorder what is done prior to board members getting there. Like you said before, it's a lot of candidates. And just one rate alone, we have 400 candidates. Okay, when somebody got to put all four. Imagine all 400 sent in, letters to the board. You think that just magically gets put in a record, paired up with each person's record? Like no. It's a vetting process, that has to happen. Even when you take the exam, okay, again, every exam got to be graded. That don't necessarily happen overnight. Like I said, each package got to be submitted and attached to that particular record. It's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. No one is just sitting around twiddling their thumbs, waiting for the next due date, so to speak. That's just like, our real jobs every day. When we sign evals, in like March, September, November, when do they ask for? How much goes into chopping and things of that nature? It takes a lot of work to get involved in that. And when it comes to feedback in particular, where is that feedback supposed to go? Per se, during the board process, during the discussion process. What do they want? Somebody to sit there and, scribe and take notes, and then what? Upload it on their record so they can log in and look and see like how much time that's going to take.
I mean, now, so that's what I think that me again, that's me. I think something like that is sophisticated. It's going to take more time. But I think like you like, in my opinion, you kind of answering it. Like you kind of coming up with, for me, I think the feedback, something like that would work. It's going to take a lot more time. You know what I'm saying? A whole lot more time. Somehow, it'll show up to them like, hey, this, this what was missing. This what didn't, get you where you needed to be. But I could see it on both sides too. What about you, Damon? What you think?
Well, I think the feedback is in what you were saying earlier, though. That's in the convenient orders. It's in the precepts. It's in the ladder. That's kind of like, to me, I take that as feedback, because now I kind of know what I need to do to be successful. And like you said, I won't be working for nothing. I kind of know what I'm working. I think that's feedback to me.
But we talking about guys who said they said they hit an area mark.
But see, and that's where I'm a little bit like confused a little bit. You can't tell me you did all this stuff and I don't see your record, though. I mean, yeah, anybody can go out there and say they did all this stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But that don't mean, you don't know what the other sailors did either. It's a percentage on how many people that's going to make it, but you don't know what those other sailors did. You assuming what they doing because you was with them for 2 years, what they did prior to that. You don't know all that stuff. You just assuming you was a better sailor when, you don't really know that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I have to look at each record to say, this sailor is better than that sailor.
So you don't think feedback should be given either?
No.
Okay.
It's too much, man. I think it's too much.
Yeah.
I mean,
just cracking up over there.
It's too much, man. Too much. Yeah. I don't.
I mean, and for me in particular, I gave you an answer, but my take on feedback is the ones who really want feedback, they're going to find a way.
They're going to go get it on their own. Uh-huh.
They're going to get it, and those are the ones that I love, right? And, hey, I'm going to just be honest. It's some cats that ask for feedback, and I'm just like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like you really think you need feedback? Like, wow, okay, well, let me give it to you. And those are the ones that just like, and I'm the same ones that say, man, I'm hitting all the wickets. And I'm just like, how could he or she possibly think they're hitting all the wickets? Like, okay, I don't see this. I don't see that. I don't see this. Your eval is, for lack of a better word, is not written properly, is not written toward the convening order. Well, I don't see it. How do I supposed to know you did that?
Yeah.
Right? And it goes both ways, like at the end of the day, you're aspiring to be a chief. And, anyone who ever worked for me, like I said at the beginning of this, I take this very, very, very seriously. And, you're the new guy on the block. You're the one all the first class is going to be running to saying, hey, help me get my record. What did you submit? What did you do? And I don't want you seeing them making the chief mess look stupid, like you don't have no clue. So I'm not going to prep you, and I'm not going to – this is process. This is years in the works of me, taking you on board, me showing you, me helping you put you in a position to be selected for chief. So when it happens, hey, I had to do this. And every record ain't the same. Every person's, journey to selection isn't the same. You know what I'm saying? So, again, even when it comes to feedback, it can't be general. It has to be specific.
Yeah.
And with that said, it's just like that person, if they want it, trust me, they're going to go get it.
Mm-hmm. And I want to charge us, we're about to get off the phone, but I just want to charge us as chiefs, at all chiefs, like we can't bullshit these sellers in any of these processes. So before they submit packages, when we looking through those packages, let's make sure we doing it with time on our hands and able to go through and actually be honest with these sellers. And then when they come back and get feedback, let's be honest with these sellers too about the feedback that we giving them too. Cause I think some people be bullshitting lightweight with the feedback. Like, yo, be honest with the seller. Let them know, like, no, you had it. It was this, it was that. Because some of that then gives these sellers like more in the arsenal to raise some of these questions that if you would have chopped that down and answered it when they asked you or whatever like that, then they wouldn't have to be trying to figure out all these answers from everybody else. So that's my take on it, and somewhere that I think, we could do better at too as a mess.
Right. And see, and not to extend this out, but this is my thing, right? And I had a friend of mine tell me, like, hey, P, man, you taking this shit a little bit too hard because you taking it personal. And I'm like, motherfucker, I'm taking it personal because I selected this group right here, like.
Yeah.
Like I selected this group. I know that, when it comes to ABEs, ABFs, ABHs, AOs, this shit was fair.
Yeah.
This shit was fair as hell, right? So with that being said, when I am on Facebook or anything like that, and I'm seeing the comments from the person who didn't get selected, and I hear the chief say, oh man, I don't know what happened, bro. Like, you got everything.
Yeah.
I'm in that chief's, inbox, like, hey, bro, like, did you look at this record?
Yeah.
Did you look at this record? Do you know what this cell is missing? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is like, well, nah, I ain't look at their record. And I'm like, bro, don't fucking tell this seller that you don't understand because you ain't took the time yet. Like, that's unfair.
Yeah.
You to even, and because you got khakis on, your word is bond. When you say, I don't know what else you need to do, they're going to believe you.
Hey, so if I'm one of them sellers, 17 year, been up and up and up, and I'm listening to this right now, and I'm like, oh man, so Master Chief, he kind of told me that, these people are able to reach out. Hey, I want Master Chief to check my, my record out. Are you available for that? If I'm listening, I'm like, man, I want to, give Master Chief a look at my record. Are you available for that?
Man, my inbox has been, crazy, and that's just not people from the group, but people that's in my commands or, sellers who's previously served with me. And like I said, I don't turn nobody away. I just ask that you give me a little time. But at the same time, it's just like, some of these rates is only so much I can tell you because I'm not the SME. I'm not. So, from it's certain things that I can say you hit the mark on, but some of these rates again, it's cert heavy. You know, I'm not an IT. I can't say, you know, hey, you know, my rate, we big numbers. You know, you talking about number 1 out of, you know, 130. You know, and that's command wide, and then you got departmental. You know, it's number 1 out of 30 something first classes, and then I'm looking at a record where this guy's like, you know, hey, 1 out of, you know, 4 or 5. You know, my feedback gonna be, wow, you know, that's not a real large summary group. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or whatever. So at the end of the day, you have to seek out, you know, people or rates that fits your selection board. You know, that's when, again, like, do you really understand what you're asking for? Do you really understand what you need to get to the next level? Basically, do you even know what you're doing? You know? And that in itself will answer a lot of questions that, you know, I get asked, period. And whenever someone, you know, shoots me a record, 9 out of 10 is going to end with a phone call. Like, hey, this is because it's too much, you know. Like I said before, I can get as brief as you want it, or I can extend it to the point where I know when you walk away from me, you armed with everything you need to have a nice ass record. Like, okay, boom. Like if I hit all this, yeah. And for me, it's just like, I'm gonna give you that timeline. Like, you know what? Because I know Eval's only come out once a year. Hey, this, for everything that I'm gonna need to see, it's gonna take 2-3 years. You know, right now you're sitting at X amount of years. You're gonna be looking and putting it on maybe year 17 or year 15, you know, or whatnot. My feedback is that in depth. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I want you to walk away from me knowing what the fuck is going on.
Right. Hey, bro, before we let you go, is there anything else, you know, you wanted to say to leave us with?
Again, understand the process, learn the process, hit up NPC website, general board information, look at the PowerPoint, go through that PowerPoint. It's like 40-something slides. It's notes attached to the bottom of some of those slides. Read the notes. If a person that you're seeking advice from, if they haven't set a board, again, since FY17 selection board, they might be a little old school with some of the information. Things has changed a little bit. Keep that in mind. And again, man, I want everybody to be great. It's enough of this Navy pie for everybody. You know, it definitely is. Thank you guys for what you guys is doing, you know, making, spreading the word. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it. Never did nothing like this before. But hey, man, let's get out there and be great, man. Be great. One person at a time.
Hey, man, thanks for letting us interrupt your holiday or whatever to talk or whatever. So I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, thank you very much, man, for tuning in, man, and giving us your insights. And also let you know you are the first phone interview. I'm sure a lot of
first phone interview. Yeah, let's go.
Appreciate it. Yeah. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna wear that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. All right, man. Enjoy your day, bro. Love.
All right, you too. Much love. Thanks, fellas.
All right.
Man.
Yeah, that was a lot, man.
Yeah.
But you know what? I want to clarify something in there, man.
What's up?
Something I said earlier. I said about feedbacks.
Yeah.
Right? And you asked me the question about do I think that she has feedback. When I said no to that, I actually mean no to the feedback on every member from that board. Like use E6 and you don't make it, you're going to get a feedback. That's what I mean by no. I think every sailor should, you know, within the grounds and with this stuff they can do, should get some kind of feedback. But I also, what my opinion is, ain't no way they can give every first class feedback that does not make it one individually. Right? That's what I mean by no, like that, not the fact that you shouldn't try to get any feedback or you shouldn't seek feedback or anything like that.
Why not though? Why you don't think that?
Because I think it's too much for those members. I don't think when you see that panel, right? When you see that panel, some of those, I'm looking at the panel and I'm thinking like, say for a rate like HM, right? You maybe have 1,000, 1,500 people, and then you may have 100 and some people of one Master Chief HM may be doing 100 and some people or more, who knows? And they gonna strive and write stuff, notes down to send back to every individual. I just think that process is too much. I think your feedback should come from, it should be more broad. Like if you're gonna get feedback now, this is what I do think. I think when that HMCM get done with everybody's, he can go back and write some notes down out of everybody and say, okay, this is stuff I seen maybe, this year, something like that. So then you can let everyone see that. But individually, I just think that may be too much individually.
I mean, my take is like, it's some stuff that's just unseen. So the eval write-up is unseen. So when I'm getting feedback, I'm not going to know what was on the eval write-up. But I mean, the way technology advanced and stuff, I feel like it's a way that outside of knowing what's on the eval write-up, however, I could know like, hey, I could look at the group of 12 people or whatever and know like out of this whole group, these people did PPME, JPME, they MOVSM. I had this amount of NAMs, this amount of whatever's. This amount of people had this qual. This amount of people had MTS, Master Training Specialist. These amount of people had an EL letter. These amount of people were ranked number 1. This amount of people was LPO at C. I feel like at this point now, it should be a way to at least be able to see that.
But that's what I'm saying, though. That's broad, right? This many people got this many people got
that. No. I mean, out of the list. So out of the 13 on the list, right by nameless list, right? Nameless list. But right by their name, right by their number, for instance, like the number 1 person that got selected, EL, MTS, 6 NAMs, this. Yeah. And then the second person, EL, MTS, boom, boom, boom. And then I could look at, the number 13 person and then look at myself like, oh, I don't have the MOVSM like the rest of these 13 have or something vice. Because, when you going in a tank or, whatever, he just explained that whole process to us. Yeah. When they looking at the seller, they're seeing what these sellers have. And that's the reason why they getting picked. Yeah. Again, though, I think our technology is so out of date that we are under the impression like we got to scribe that shit. Like personally, I think we should be further along that we don't have to write it down. Our EL check, MOVSM check, this, and then all right, I'm part of this group that don't have it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, and then I learned a couple things there though. Out of listening, one thing I learned is that we as a chief mess should do a whole lot more training on this because sailors do bring their records to us a whole lot. Yeah. Right. To look at. And I think we should be more educated in this process ourselves. Yeah. And I know it's training out there. Right. But it's nothing better than getting training from somebody who set the board, and know what's going on and know how it works. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I want to go. So I can be more proficient in training sailors. On the process.
He said if you look on NPC, you can actually see who's
it's a PowerPoint. Right?
PowerPoint. I don't know if it's a platform for everybody that set the board, like a forum. Yeah. But if it was, I think that'd be beneficial too. Like a forum where the people that set the board could just get questions. I know they have a job or whatever, but just a forum where I could just ask people that set the board like different questions and stuff like that. Even if it's not enough time for. Even if, like we said, with feedback, right? So let's say it's not enough time to provide feedback. But if we establish this forum and I'm like a seller and I want to know why I didn't get selected, if I could like key into this forum, like, hey, I'm such and such, I'm EM1 McCullough. I know you guys are the ones who set the board for me. I was one of the ones that didn't get selected. Can you tell me now? I'm sure everybody that didn't get selected will probably tap into the forum, but
but that's great, right? Wouldn't that be a good thing? Yeah. Like I'm kind of down with that too, man. Like you did that board, you stood it on one day. Right after the board, we'll say we'll give it a month. Yeah. The board's over with within a month. At 1,500 during this time, all those Master Chiefs gonna be sitting in this one spot, listening to phone calls.
Yeah. Dial in. Or just like a Facebook group or something like that, where some type of group where
some kind of whatever kind of form it is.
Yeah, where it ain't even a time constraint. It's just at any time I can open up my email or like some group message and I could see this seller asking this question or or I'm able to ask this question. Yeah. I think that should have worked, man.
Yeah, I do too actually. So before we get off this topic a little bit, I just want to also express that if we didn't hit the question or hit the answer that you guys was looking for, You guys can hit us up, and let us know, man, and we can either we'll know the answer, we can find the answer, or we'll shoot it over to Master Chief and see that he know the answer. So we're kind of whichever way, we'll try to get that answer for you.
And I want to give a special shout out to the first class. I'm not going to say his name. Much respect, though, to the first class that gave me some of the information. I got some information from different people, but one first class in particular, I had a really good conversation with him. He gave me a lot of that information, man. And that stuff does not fall on like lost ears at all. Like, I get it, man. I understand the grind when you've been pushing and pushing and pushing for years and don't feel like the door is opening the way you want it, and you seeing people visually, based off your visibility, that it look like you're doing more than, and in some cases, I mean, I'm still with him. In some cases, some people are doing more than other people, but it's a lot in that process that I don't think we all understand.
Yes.
But I think what I took from Master Chief the most is to be proactive in reaching out to actual people that's a part of the process. So that's what I still got my disagreements, and I hope I said them when I was talking to the Master Chief. But I do think that we just need to make sure we're proactive in that process and know what we are up against.
Yeah. And then again, this is why we do this, man. We trying to bring people, on the podcast, that can help.
Yeah.
And he won't be the last, man. But I love those type of conversations, man, because I think conversations like that make people better. Not only you guys out there that's listening, but me also.
Yeah. Hopefully that cleared up some stuff and provided some input on some stuff. So let's get into this. Our normal stuff, man. A book of the week.
Yeah. So you guys heard me last week, man. I was still on the 48 Laws of Power, man, and now I'm in like the middle of the book. I'm like in law, I think
24.
No,
I mean,
not that law. No,
that's like the middle, man.
Yeah, that is the middle, but I'm not quite there. I'm like at maybe law 17 or something.
Okay.
But I just want to. The only thing I really want to say about this book is that it's some crazy stuff goes on, especially what's going on in some of these stories on how people got to the top, man.
Yeah.
Like people was actually like being like going in on people just to make it, man. And I'm talking about like it could be your brother.
Yeah.
It could be whatever family member. It doesn't matter. It's all about power.
Right.
And the greed of power and how you looked. If you look good and a lot of ladies like you, you're going down. And you know what I mean? It's just like crazy on how that book is put together. And then when I think back, man, I was like, man, a lot of those stories I done heard so far, I didn't like either seen it or heard it or something. It's like this stuff actually happens, man. Yeah.
And what I liked about how Robert Greene put it together was he never connected like himself to it or never made it like a rule like for you to follow. Some of that shit is dark. Some of that like you take which ones you want. You're not going to adapt. I won't ever adapt all 48 laws.
No, most definitely.
Some of that's just way too dark, and you biting people back out and all that.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. But I'm intrigued though.
Yeah.
I like the book, and I most definitely anybody want a good book to read. Most definitely take a look at that one.
Of Power.
Yep.
The book that I got this week is I'm gonna do something a little different. I normally do books that I've finished, and I give a take, but this book is so damn long. It's an audio book, right? Like 29 hours long. That's gonna take me a while to finish it, but it's starting out pretty good. It's Barack Obama's A Promised Land. Promised Land, man. It's good. So I read Michelle's last year sometime, Becoming. But this year, Barack Barack was supposed to finish like shortly after her, but he didn't. He explained it in the book too, like what took him so long. It's a very long-winded book, but he wanted to get information out the way he wanted to get it out. So he's like, I was thinking that I could just breeze over a chapter, like just breeze over a story, but every time he had to go in and fully explain how it affected him, what he pulled from when he made certain decisions, stuff like that. So where I'm at in the book, I'm like 3 hours in, but he still ain't been selected as president yet.
Is he the narrator? Was he the one doing the
Oh
talking?
yeah, it's Barack talking. It's Barack. Where is that? Let me see.
Man. I know it's good already, man.
Where is that? Because he talking, man. Where is that? Play a little bit.
There was nothing fancy about Paul Toos. His demeanor could be gruff, and his clothes never seemed to match, especially in the winter when, like a true Minnesotan, he'd sport all manner of flannel shirts, down jackets, and ski caps.
Yeah, so I'm listening to Barack talking. He's really descriptive in everything that he's talking about. But it's really some good information. It's starting out real good. I'm a big fan of the Obamas.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the presidency at all. I'm just talking about who they are as people.
Yeah.
So it's starting out as a good book. I'm sure I'm gonna be entertained. He cursing. He speaking regular, talk about basketball, stuff like that. And but when it start getting to the insight about his presidency, I'm sure I'm gonna be entertained. And then it's a good companion book to Michelle's, because it clarifies some of the stuff that she wrote. It gives his point of view from that.
Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Yeah. But what about the movie, man?
Yeah, man. The movie was The Outpost, man.
Yeah, you're gonna have to speak on that a little bit more than me.
Okay, I can speak. You gonna do the little rundown on it?
Yeah.
On The Outpost?
Yeah, because my confession on The Outpost is I saw it, but the time that I saw it, it was a while ago. So
yeah, man.
But it's directed by Rod Lurie, right?
Yep.
Scott Eastwood, that's Clint's son. Orlando Bloom, Taylor John Smith, and Caleb Landry Jones are the stars of this movie. So Scott Eastwood is the star, pretty much. Scott Eastwood and Orlando Bloom. Orlando Bloom got a role in it. And again, like I said, it's directed by Rod Lurie.
Yeah, man. So I watched the movie, man. It's kind of falls under what I like in movies, man. There's some action in there.
Yo, the action sequence is crazy.
The action was crazy, man, up in there. So I kind of like that part of it. It was some scenes. So I always pick certain scenes out of the movie that I like when I'm talking about the movie. So a couple scenes that I got out of it was
hey, but before you get into the scenes, though, can you give a general overview of what this movie was about? Because I give it based off my memory of the movie.
Yeah,
these guys were stationed to operate in an outpost, but it was in the middle of some mountains where terrorists were, where the enemies were. Anything more than that, though?
Yeah. So it seemed like they was trying to build relationships. With the people out there, and all of them wasn't Taliban out there, so they were trying to build these relationships, and you can tell these people was doing things out there to try to get money, because that's kind of what they was trying to do. They was getting money, trying to build these relationships by giving them stuff and to helping them and things like that, building that relationship. But the outpost, the position of it is the worst. I did. That's one of the things that I saw. It's when anytime you're talking about military, you're talking about strategies, you're talking about all that stuff, this was the worst when it comes to all of that. Yeah. The mountains is all around you. They got the high ground you the whole time. Yeah. It's the worst area you can have it in.
And it was every other couple days they come around, shoot a little bit.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day on the movie they were shooting this movie. Shooting at them for that day. Every day. So good. One thing I caught out of the movie was some good speeches. When they was talking to each other about motivation, and then a couple of good scenes that I saw from there. And when I looked at the movie, I found out that the enemy had no face a lot of the times in the movie. When you seen every day that these people were shooting down at them, you didn't know who the hell was shooting down at you. Yeah. Right. So the enemy, a lot in the movie didn't have no face. But at the same time, even though you getting shot at every day, you still going out trying to save face type. You still talking to them it wasn't a big deal. I know you guys this and this, and it was always still good at the end of the day. We easily could have say, okay, they come in trying to kill us, we finna go out a mile and destroy some stuff. Yeah. Right. But they never did that. They was getting that shot at every day, and it was just another day. Right. And then the mission, with they had this big ass truck there, right? They trying to get this truck out. One of the biggest things I saw in the movie is you got this CO. The CO is with pretty much a captain. I think he's a lieutenant. And he was the one driving the truck. He said, I'm going to be the one, to drive that truck. And that was that's something you don't see, especially at a small post like that. Normally the commanding officer probably stay back, you know what I mean, with the troops or whatever, to make sure he can control things, because they getting shot at like every day. But no, he didn't want to put he wanted to be there with them, because he know he was putting them in harm's way, because none of them really everybody was against it.
Yeah, that was a stand up move, man. So
he wanted to do that. And a couple of things like in the movie where they was getting shot at, and one of the guys was like about to get in the shower, man. You know what I mean? They was started shooting at him after they got a new CO came in, and they was shooting at him, and he ended up with no clothes on, man.
Yeah,
like firing back, man. You know what I mean? That was a scene, because I could see that happening at that outpost, because they was getting shot at every day. You know what I mean? So it was like a second thought for him getting out there doing that. And then the CO, like, you can see some of the things he did not want to leave the post, man. He wanted to be there with those guys. Like, even the sergeants, like, they didn't want to leave, you know what I mean, those guys behind. So it was some good motivation behind a lot of that stuff in the movie. And then the young officers in there, when he was talking to the new CO, like, they had this thing that these guys like, hey, this officer he's scared, he don't want to come out, he don't want to do, like, they named like 3 or 4 things about like how they didn't like this officer, but this new officer, stood up for him. It didn't matter.
Yeah,
he's the commanding officer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So regardless of what you think about him, he's still the commanding officer, and we still gonna respect him, as he the commanding officer. That was a good scene. And then the last thing, to put all these troops, and it was a lot of medals and things that came out of this movie that a lot of people got right out of this, like from 2 Medal of Honors, they got the Silver Stars and things like that. A lot of people got. But what I took from this whole movie, the whole entire movie, if you're gonna put somebody in a position like that, your air support need to get there a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
Right. They had over 400, Talibans came down there on them, coming from all directions. And it seemed like it took a lot of time for those guys to get the help they needed from that position. Yeah. So yeah, man. But before you get started, I gave it an overall, man. Normally I probably get it was taking place all in pretty much the whole movie was in the same spot. And I feel a certain way about that, but I'm not gonna give it 3.5. I'm gonna give it a 4, man, because I like the motivation, I like the speeches, and it's a pretty good movie, man.
Yeah, I liked it too, man. I'll start off with my rating. I'll give it a 4 too. I feel like the character development was there enough for a war movie that I want to see action in. Yeah, and it's based off a true story. So yes. Definitely rest in peace to the loss and everybody that helped us in those moments. Thank you. But it's a war movie, so I want to see some action. So it didn't take that long to get into the action, and then when it got into the action sequences to me were really good for a movie that I didn't know about. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like a big budget thing or nothing like that. It wasn't nothing we were like ready for, like a Pearl Harbor. It was just something that I stumbled across and was like, hey, this a war movie with like randomly with like Orlando Bloom in it. You know what I'm saying? And just for that, like, simple thing, I gotta give it a 4. It seemed like it was made with care. It seemed like the director cared about the story he wanted to tell, the setting, letting us know the intricacies of the outpost that they were working at and the surroundings. One thing I noticed, and I guess is just the downside of some of these operations in these movies, but like you was talking about with the air support, I mean, it's been a few movies now where it's like, damn, like, where the fuck is the air support at? Like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think that these always come out in our bad stories. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's a bad story. So the air support's the mistakes, like what we could have done better or whatever like that. So we hot wash it, we close down that outpost and stuff like that. A lot of we don't make many we don't always see movies in recent time about like great victories where we just overcame the enemy really quick. We see the movies about, like we just saw Lone Survivor. We watch the movies about where we, you know, overcame enormous odds. And normally
Yeah.
air support seem to take a long time to come, man.
Yeah.
They take about as long as the Air Force Academy takes to get a black woman to run a show.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
But yeah, all in all, it's a 4, man. The movie looked great. I was motivated watching it as well. As a couple scenes that was really tense. The truck scene, when the 3 dudes was in the truck and they were taking shots. These guys were like really like over. It's a lot that they had to overcome, and they were hit really hard. So. Good movie. 4, man. It's a 4 out of 5. I recommend everybody to watch it. It's free on Netflix right now, actually.
Man, I wish I knew it was free, because I sure rented it.
You rented it?
Yeah, man.
I told you it was free, man.
Yeah, my bad.
Did we talk about it? I think I told you. I was like, yeah, Outpost is free on Netflix too. Here's a cool story. I got a cool story. What's up?
Well, I don't want it to get lost. But at the end of the movie, kind of like you can see one of the guys going through PTSD, man. So I don't want that to get lost in the movie too. That was something that's they hit on too at the end of it.
Yeah, really. Like we talk about that all the time. Veterans with stress, sellers with PTSD,
depression, and all that stuff.
So here's a fun fact about Outpost, right? So this might be. I'm not gonna say names, but I was talking about Outpost. It was me and 2 other guys talking about Outpost at my house, and one of the guys downloaded Outpost at my house on my Wi-Fi.
Oh man!
And Cox came over. Cox, yeah, baby. Yeah, they sent me an email the next day, like, "Hey, some illegal activity
man
going on your Wi-Fi." I'm like, "Illegal activity? What happened?" Then I was like, "All right, let me look into this." And then I saw it said Outpost. I was like, "Oh man, they got me, baby."
Outpost, man, that VPN, huh? You can't hide from that VPN.
Cox ain't playing, and then they just gonna keep sending me an email every day now. Like I can't. It's nothing I could do about this now. You know?
Yeah, it's over with, man.
I thought I was gonna do some jail time, man.
That's good stuff, man. That's cool stuff.
What is this? I don't know if you're busy, but we came up with just gluing printed paper. Don't do that. I got to call her, man. I'm going to call her right now.
Go ahead, call her.
Yeah, don't do that. I'm going to make it real quick. This is pretty much the end of the podcast.
Hi, Chief.
Hey, what's up? Hey, so I just want you to know right now you're on my podcast, right? So, because I'm busy, you text me, but I had to tell you, you're on permission to speak freely. Don't do that. Don't do what you just said you're going to do. Don't do it. Okay?
Don't do it.
It's going to look really tacky.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay? You're going to have really fat corners at the end. I can't say much, but just don't do that. All right? I'll talk to you more about it later. All right? You okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So what? Look. So while we got you on the podcast, hey, this, one of my former sellers. Hey, congrats again on making Chief. You going through the season right now? How is it? How's it go? So you can't give any details. So don't give any specific details. But how the season going for you right now? You having a good time?
Greatest time of my life, but it's a learning.
Don't bullshit us. Don't bullshit us. You enjoying it?
It's definitely some lessons that's been learned.
Okay.
When you spend too much time being a first class, now you have to shift that whole mentality. It's not the same. You feel like you've been grooming to be a chief, but then it's a whole different thing.
It's a whole new world.
Exactly.
Hey, just stay humble, keep learning, keep asking questions. Don't ever stop learning and asking questions, and just make the most out of your season. All right. Again, congrats. You got anything to say to him?
No, congrats, man. Don't forget to always be you. You got you there, right?
All right,
so be you.
Yeah. Thank you for being on our podcast too. I appreciate you.
We'll make sure we delete you though.
All right. All right. See you.
All right.
Hey, man, that was great, man.
Good show, great, man. Good, man. Hey, again, I'm going to say it one more time, man. Make sure you guys got any more questions about what we talked about today with the interview. You got any more questions, please let us know. Hit us up.
Yeah, thank you, Master Chief Parker. Thank you, BMC Hernandez. And thank you to Chief Select who just called us. We appreciate all of you guys. And then thank you to the listeners, the YouTube viewers, and all the supporters, everybody that been buying merch.
Most definitely, man.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Permission to Speak Freely. I'm Damo.
And I'm Damon.
Pay attention.